This is Darren DePaul. You may or may not know me as a voice in some video games you may or may not be playing. And right now, you may or may not be listening to The Gaming Outsider. Roll the theme song. There may or may not be a theme song.
Hey there, Gaming Outsider listeners. Zack, Alyssa, and I are back to talk about the unfortunate studio closure news over at Microsoft today. And we're also taking a look back at the ones from the past that we still wish were around today. Zack played a game on PS5 called Sclash, and Alyssa played Still Joking. And finally, Joel stops by to tell us how he likes TMNT Arcade Mutants of Mayhem. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We've also got a community on facebook.com/groups/the GoCast, and even a Discord server. You can find a link for that in the show notes of this very episode. We'd love it if you come and join all the fun conversations over there. It is Sunday, May 12th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, Mr. Zack Parkerson. What's up, man?
What's up, Scott? You look sweaty.
I look sweaty and stinky, and yeah. It's been a weekend. We'll get there in just a second, but also first off, joining us is Miss Alyssa White. How you doing, Alyssa?
I'm okay, much better now that I'm with you guys.
Aw.
You guys always make me feel better.
I feel kind of bad because I wasn't supposed to be here. Zach was going to be hosting this episode with CB and Alyssa. So I just came in and barged my way into the hosting duties for this episode and just ripped it away from you, Zach, and I apologize.
Oh, I'm more upset you took away Alyssa and I's alone time.
Yeah, I guess it could have been.
It would have been one of those episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, CB couldn't join us today. He said he was going to be on the episode, and I guess forgot that it was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And basically texted me and said, I don't know what to do.
Right. The mother of his children, I guess, wasn't too happy about that.
Right.
Yeah,
So I was in the car on the way home from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which I'll get to in just a second, and realized that I was going to be recording an episode when I got home. I thought I wasn't going to be here this week, but here I am.
Hey, I'm happy to have you.
Me too.
Hey, you guys will be without me in a couple weeks when I'm in Tampa. I'm going to Tampa over Memorial Day weekend.
Well, I'm in a cabin in the woods over Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, so it'll be a CB Alyssa episode.
Sounds like we got some stuff to figure out off the air here.
Unless CB can't make that episode, then I guess either I do it by myself or...
It's going to be the Alyssa monologue.
Yeah, there you go.
We're not going to talk about video games today. It's going to be all K-drama, all K-pop music.
Yeah, finally.
You know I would do that. Yes.
I know you would.
Finally, I know you would. What the audience truly demands.
So you want to hear about my camping trip before we get? I know this is a video game podcast, but
I heard a little snippet about it. But
how many porcupines did you encounter?
I did not encounter any porcupines, even though it is called the Porcupine Mountains.
What a misnomer!
Upper Peninsula of it's like all the way at the very top, the very northern portion of the UP. Like we were on Lake Superior.
I've been there a few times, and I've never seen a porcupine.
Yeah,
that is a lie.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
Yeah, I heard some stories about you.
Yeah,
around the campfire about when.
I thought you meant like there. In the mountains. Like there's this local legend about Zack.
No. Like they were telling some pretty funny, embarrassing stories about Zack when he was a kid. I mean, because when you went there, you were a kid, right?
You were like, I wonder how true the stories are. You know,
well, I don't know if I want to say them here.
I know.
We can discuss them off air and let Zack.
Did you hear a story about a leech?
No, I did not hear a story about a leech. Okay. I heard a story about you and your buddy that had to share a bunk.
Oh, okay.
And you guys were being made fun of pretty much the whole weekend and weren't helping each other out very much. If you catch my drift.
Is that sexual?
My mind went in the gutter when you said that, Scott.
Oh, you mean that we were like making fun of each other? What is going on here? I'm curious.
It's the way you said it.
Might as well get into it now. Now I'm curious.
Might as well. Yeah, everyone's going to be like writing me soon. So what's the story about the camping trip? So the story is that they were making fun of you and your friend.
Sure.
For for possibly being intimate with one another.
Right. Homosexual. Nothing wrong with that, I would hope.
I'm not saying that. Yeah. But apparently you kept getting mad about it and mad about it. And one of the guys who was actually camping with us this weekend said, all right, Zach, I promise I won't make fun of you if you just don't do anything like that gives any hint that you are homosexual. And you promptly went head to toe in the bed with your buddy, and they just lost it and laughed and thought that was the funniest thing ever. So
like in a numerically 69 kind of position, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's how you guys decided to bunk. That was the safer way, and that clearly was not the. I don't want. Safer is not the right word. Don't cancel me.
Right.
The way to not appear like you guys were actually into each other. But
well,
I've heard that as well. I'm like, how is that any better than the normal way of sleeping?
Yeah.
The funnier aspect is that me and that friend slept in plenty of the same bed throughout life and never cared otherwise. So it was probably just because there was a bunch of 40-year-old dudes who were giggling like 12-year-olds about two guys sleeping together.
Yeah. That's pretty much what chalked up, but it still made for some guffaws, as it were, sitting around a campfire. But anyway, I got to hike some trails. I did like a 5.5 mile hike up and down. Some of those are weren't super treacherous, but it's not an easy hike. It's just like an 1.5, 2 hour hike, which would normally take 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
Probably like a 40-pound backpack on your back.
Actually, no, we didn't. The site we had, we camped. We actually were able to drive to. The campsite was called Gitchigumi. It was not one that we had to hike into like we had to with other ones. But anyway, 3 days without a shower. I got my shower today after riding all the way from there, all the way through the entire state of Wisconsin, in a car with 4 other dudes.
Yeah.
We decided to take one vehicle. And
well, that's environmentally safe. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it smelled lovely in that vehicle, though.
Oh, we stopped for coffee somewhere, which, by the way, it's the first place I've been to in America that had that coffee that I like that I got in Australia. What do you call it when
white?
it's just... No, well, they call it, it's like something elite.
Yeah, I can't remember, like a Gibraltar or...
No, it wasn't Gibraltar. It ended in an O, like something D-O. It's just espresso and steamed milk.
No, I remember the drink. I just don't remember what they called it.
I can't remember what they called it either, but I actually saw it on the menu and I was able to order it, and I'm like, this is great. Yeah. I want that all the time now. So, but we came in there we had to smell super ripe, and we're ordering breakfast and coffee and stuff, and then got out of there. But I have some cool pictures to share with you. The waterfalls are gorgeous, and we had a really good time, although didn't get as much sleep as I would have liked. When you're in a bunk, when you're in a cabin with 5 other guys, you're bound to have at least one of them that snores very loudly, and we had 4 that snored very loudly.
No.
So I did not sleep as much as I would like to. Even after taking 2 melatonin at a time, I could not fall asleep. So I did watch Tombstone, though. First time I've ever watched Tombstone. So.
First time.
Wow. Yeah.
I've only seen bits and pieces of that, so I need to also rectify that situation.
I feel like it was oversold a little bit. It felt like very much like a Hollywood Western as opposed to a gritty Western like I was expecting it to be.
It's definitely a crowd-pleasing Western.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Anya Huckleberry line is pretty solid.
It's pretty. I mean, there are a lot of great moments in that movie. It's like a movie that has a bunch of great moments, but I don't know if the overall movie is great.
That's exactly how I would describe it, and I was afraid to voice that opinion because I feel like that movie is universally loved, and I was like, really? I feel like I need to go see Unforgiven because I've never seen that one either.
That one is great.
Either.
Guys, that one is exceptional.
Yeah. So I think I might have been mixing those two up in terms of quality. This one felt like like you said, crowd pleaser Western, and Unforgiven seems like just a down, dirty, Wild West.
Yeah.
I need you, Zach, to send me a list of must-watch Western movies.
Can I add one? Because Silverado is at the top of my list. I
remembered Silverado.
Oh yeah.
But I need a list so I can watch them.
Yeah, it's a good call. Well, let's get into some video games before I get yelled at for going off on too many rabbit trails. Zach, what? I'm sorry. Who do I have? I'm sorry, Alyssa. Forget you, Zach. We're gonna start with Alyssa.
Yeah. Never mind.
Well, I mean,
do the show.
mine's repetitive, so we'll get that one out of the way first. What you
been catching up on?
Still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Chapter 12 now, so getting closer.
All right.
But I'm at the point where they just decided to dump a whole bunch of side quests on me in different regions. I'm like, oh no.
Oh yeah, those. I mean, you don't have to do those.
I
They
know,
basically
but
say,
like my
we got
brain
new
is
side quests.
screaming at me like, we
Oh,
gotta
I
do
know.
the side quests.
You gotta at
I
least
did
do the actual side quests where it's like they have little
Right.
stories, because that stuff's
Yeah.
also good.
But I'm almost finished with the Queen's Blood side quest. I just have one more opponent.
Oh, okay. So you really are doing everything.
Yeah, I really do love Queen's Blood. Like after I figured out like the perfect pack, what I'm supposed to do, it all clicked. And I'm like, I'm addicted to this now.
You've got arguably the coolest dungeon in the game coming up too. Would you agree with me, Zach?
Are you talking about the final dungeon?
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it.
it's a crazy
Is that in
dungeon.
Well, I'm
It's
assuming
in
one of
the It's in the final chapter. I'm
Okay.
glad that you agree, Scott. I feel like a lot of people said it was too long that I talked to, but I don't think so.
It was long, but I think it just felt long because I was ready. I was ready for it to see how it ended.
Yes.
My curiosity had been burning about how they were going to handle that moment, and I just wanted to see it so bad. And I felt like it felt like a roadblock,
Mhm.
you know. So, but I just kind of decided to sit back and enjoy it, and I did. But they do some cool things that I've not seen done in a JRPG before, in terms of character shifts and
Yes, the way they split the party is brilliant.
yeah, it's really cool.
I always-
So
I
let
did
us
have.
know.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I just always love when a JRPG forces party formations on you.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
I like them in traditional turn-based JRPGs,
Uh-huh.
but with a game like this where you really have to know the mechanics of each character individually, I struggle. There was a section early on in the game, and you probably remember this, Alyssa, as well, where you're forced to be Kate Sith for like an entire chapter, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that was just recently,
Yeah, that's late in
Was
the
it?
game.
and
Oh, okay.
I was going to bring that up. That was the worst part.
Oh, couldn't
I
agree more.
hated it.
It's not a fun part of the game.
And okay, what you have to do as Kate Sith, like to get through it, why do I have to push so many buttons for this simple task?
Well, and there's that one enemy type that's like the Scales of Justice that seems deliberately like an enemy that Kate
Yes.
Sith should not be fighting.
I know. I was so angry during that portion, and especially that one mechanic that in most games, you push one button and it's
Right.
fine. Maybe two buttons. And I'm over here having to push 3 or 4, and it's not working. And I'm like, no.
A regular
I
button
didn't have a
palooza.
problem with the traversal stuff. I actually thought that was kind of fun. Where you'd like throw boxes and
Oh, that was the part I was talking about, throwing the boxes. We'll just say that.
See,
I hated
I like-
that.
I like that. There was like one, not even a boss. It was just like a regular standard enemy type that wouldn't you could only hit with either physical attacks or magic attacks depending on which state it was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled. I'm talking like 20 times. I had to do this one stupid fight, and it should have just been like a normal standard enemy. It drove me nuts.
Was it
Yeah,
the Scales
but-
of Justice?
That's what he's referring to, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is called the Scales of Justice.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
the boss at the end.
The
of that.
boss I hated. The boss it took me like 10 tries to beat. Which
Yeah,
is
that was
frustrating,
tough.
because I don't remember.
The one you fight just as Kate.
Yes, and I don't
Yeah.
remember any other boss taking me that many attempts.
Yeah, it was annoying. It took me several tries as well. But yeah, the Scales of Justice, I agree, were paying the tushy.
I came close to dropping the difficulty. Like, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Good. Don't let them win.
Yeah, I have a feeling by next week you will have told us that you finished it though.
I'm averaging a chapter a week, so I'm not going to be here next week though
Well, the next time you record.
because text message earlier.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a possibility of a special guest
Yeah.
next week. I don't know for certain.
Okay, I
If
may
it's happening.
possibly not be on. I may be on here. I may not be on here.
Right.
So
Not that we don't love you, but we just thought
I know. I get it.
might be easier, smaller crowd
Yeah.
if we had a guest.
Well,
so.
anyway, if I'm not on here next week, there's a high chance I will be finished with it the week after.
During her solo episode.
Yes. My
Oh,
K-pop
that's-
driven episode where I just talk about K-dramas. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking about video games right now. Okay. 5 minutes later. Okay, back to the K-drama.
Right.
Well, let's move on to Zach. Zach, you've been catching up on it. Wow. Looks like you've been on a beating games rampage this week.
Yes, so I finally
wow.
put to bed some games I'd been working on in the background.
Look at you being a badass.
Wow. Thank you. Off the top, I did beat Stellar Blade. Last week we talked about it was on the final boss. Did beat it. Very good game.
Was it stellar?
I don't know. It's hard for me to call a game with such a boring story stellar.
I just had to do it because of the title.
I understand. The ending is interesting. The ending does a cool thing where the good ending, you kind of have to go down a path where it would assume where most games, it would make you feel like you're about to get to the bad ending. Like that's what you have to do to get the good ending.
Okay, so it kind of tricks you.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Nice.
But yeah, beat that. It was really good. And then beat Trails from Zero, which I've obviously been playing quietly in the background.
Mm-hmm.
This game, boy, yes, it's exceptional.
Which game is this in the series?
This is the fourth game in the series, the first game of the Crossbell arc. And things come together. There's one storyline that's been built up basically over 4 games that reaches a conclusion here that deals with some very heavy topics that I wouldn't have imagined, but it hit close to home for me. And it actually did make me cry.
Wow.
But it was just powerful stuff, especially when these characters look like little claymation sprites. But the writing for that particular story arc was good. And then for the rest of the game, a lot of the different plot threads came together in a really smart way. They somehow managed, because the game, unlike really any JRPG I've played, you're playing as a detective, and most of the game is basically you kind of navigating the war between the Mafia and the Yakuza, essentially. Very small, interesting stakes for this genre. But they somehow wove it in, that, and I think a very fair and smart way, into like this devil-worshipping cult. Because they were helping these demons do some stuff in the city, but it all came together brilliantly, and it ended with you learning about some more stuff in the game. And I was just surprised it got so dark, because the first arc of the series was relatively fluffy, I guess you would say, because it had dark moments, but like stuff here gets pretty. I guess this is some pretty gnarly topics, and I just really came away loving the main cast, and I really like that you basically your party is just these 4 characters for the entire game.
Wow.
It's kind of similar to Final Fantasy 15, and you get those occasional guest characters, but what it does is it really, like, you believe their friendship. And they're all kind of friends with each other, not just like all friends with the leader of the party, which is cool.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that's how they were originally, right? Like when you pick a party in the original Final Fantasy, that was your party for the whole game, right?
Oh, you mean like in the very first ones? Yeah, but those, those also weren't very story-focused games.
Yeah,
it's just nice because, like, you play a game like Persona, like everyone's your best friend, but they're not really tight with each other.
Yeah,
so it's nice to that they all kind of feel like they have the relationships with each other. It's just really good, and they do a very good job of sliding these people from coworkers to family, essentially.
Is there going to be a 5th one, or is there a 5th one?
There are 11 games.
Yeah, there are a lot of Trails of games.
Yeah, well, I think the 11th one is coming out in July. Yeah.
So you're set for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into the 5th one after this and probably take a break. Although I might cave and just jump straight to this new one coming out, because it's the beginning of a new arc. So I feel like I should be somewhat safe from spoilers. But we'll see. I don't know. Probably. It just looks too good to pass up.
Yeah.
And then just really good. Highest recommendations. Do you like JRPGs? I do think that if you wanted to start with this one, you could.
Okay.
Oh, really?
You would miss that one storyline I'm talking about that really hit me, that kind of resolved from 4 games, is a subplot in this one. So it's not, and I still think it would hit you, but just not as much. But I do think you could get away with, like, if you were really into the idea of playing as a Japanese detective boy, this would be, I think you can jump in here.
I don't think I could do it, man. Like, I have to start from the beginning. Like, that's just.
Yeah, I want to as well, but I just don't know if I have the technology to do it.
Right, because the first arc is only on. Well, you have a Steam Deck. They're on Steam.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, all of the games are on Steam.
Now that's dangerous that I have that information, because I'll be like, do I do it? Do I buy it? Do I buy it?
I mean,
you have to play Chrono Trigger first.
I've heard the Steam port of that's terrible, though.
not great.
It's got to be better than the PlayStation port.
Yeah.
I do have it
PlayStation
on
1.
Steam, but I bought it before I heard people say it was awful.
Well, try it and let us know.
Okay.
That's the only way to find out.
I guess
and
that's-
you're not
that's
going to have the
true.
comparison of the original game to know. For all you know, it's just going to be what it is.
Right, ignorance is
That's
bliss.
true.
So
I've been thinking a lot about that game lately. I really want to retry it in a version where I won't hate myself having to play it.
I only played through it once. Like of all the RPGs I've played through multiple times, like the Mario RPG ones, Paper Mario, and some of the other, like Robotrek and Final Fantasy 3 and things like that.
You have a soft spot for Robotrek.
Dude, I love Robotrek.
Yeah,
I love that game. When I kind of want to fire up again.
it's just because I know Chrono Trigger has 13 endings, and I've only ever gotten the main
wow.
one because I couldn't stand to play the other ones because of the PlayStation port and how bad it was.
Oh,
So I never got to use the time travel in the exciting ways you can only do in New Game Plus, like fighting the final boss right away.
I don't know. There's something too about playing Chrono Trigger on the original SNES that just feels cool. Anyway,
Sure. I don't think that's going to happen for me.
well, yeah, the game's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
That's a pricey game, especially if you get the box and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that one of the ones that was like $80 when it released? Like it wasn't even like a $60 game in the 90s.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like that, and Street Fighter 2 was $90 for some stupid reason.
Well, that one was probably just that was probably something for the arcade cabinet people, right? To make it so they're not cutting into the arcade business. Maybe?
Yeah, and
because Chrono Trigger was
game
for
was-
the battery, right? Games with save
Probably.
slots you had to pay more for back in the day. Basically, you had to pay
That's
for
a
the
good
privilege
thought.
of saving.
I mean, Street Fighter 2 was one of the rare instances where they took a game that was an arcade and brought it to console, and it played exactly like it did in the arcade.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you were getting the actual arcade experience at home, unlike some of the other games where like Dragon's Lair had an NES port, and you play that. It is nothing like Dragon's Lair in the arcade, but so it's little.
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably figured they could get away with it because people wanted to do it. So anyway,
Right.
anything else?
And then I also beat Grand Theft Auto 5, finally.
Ooh.
One
Is
of
this the first time?
No, this is probably the 8th time.
Oh,
my
wow.
goodness, you've been through that entire game that many times?
This is probably legitimately like the 5th time.
I knew you played 4 a lot. I didn't
Yeah.
realize you liked 5 that much.
Yeah, I didn't realize either.
Sorry, guys. I like 5.
I'm not. Nothing to apologize for.
Yeah,
I
don't
just didn't know you
apologize.
liked 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't in the know.
I've always quietly loved Grand Theft Auto, but it always felt most embarrassing to share because it was so popular. But now with the Red Dead love, it's easier to just be like, yeah, dude, I love Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, don't
But-
be embarrassed about enjoying anything.
No,
absolutely.
well, it's just so annoyingly popular because of GTA Online.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the trophies, like I was looking at the trophy percentages for beating the story and how low it is. And you're like, man, people really do just buy this game to play online, huh?
Yeah,
Just
that's
crazy.
why it sold so many copies.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah, no, I beat GTA 5 again, first time on PS5.
Nice.
Okay.
So how about that? I don't know how I put like 50 hours into this thing. I was really getting into the side stuff more so than before. A lot of fun stuff there. But yeah, not much to say. The game is exceptional. It always has been. I love the 3 leads, and I love because you get 3 options for the ending,
Mhm.
and the third option is just so much fun. And it was interesting to appreciate this because of having just played GTA 4 last year, so almost back to back.
Mhm.
And there's such interesting contrast because GTA 4 is almost like this, hard hitting HBO drama in its tone, and this is more of like almost like a Coen Brothers kind of dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
So it's just interesting vibes, and it's just a lot of fun. And you do some wacky stuff in this game that is so much fun, like crashing a plane, like a small biplane into a larger cargo jet, and then shooting your way through to kill the guy on board, and then taking like a Jeep out the back Fast and the Furious style to parachute your Jeep to the ground. I don't know. It's just, that's some fun stuff to play through.
Did they play Kanye West Power while you were doing that?
A little Saints Row action. That would have been brilliant. No, I do love when you're like killing the last guy. Oh man, can't remember the song now. But dang it, I ruined this whole analogy. They play a fun song while you're killing the last guy because you have him trapped in your trunk.
Mm.
But it's like some kind of song about I can't imagine being you or something like that. And I thought that was pretty funny.
That's cool. I beat that game at launch.
I did as well. So I don't remember.
I just remember being enamored by how alive that world felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like a living, breathing city.
That remains true. Although because I have this like Red Dead brain now, where like I wanted to, because you can always talk to every NPC in that game and like say howdy partner. I wish there was a button to say hi to the NPCs in GTA, but instead you press that button, you just punch them in the face.
Oh, I get that a lot.
That's probably how stuff goes in LA in real life. So
yeah,
it's a fair point. Yeah, especially if Trevor Phillips was walking down the street.
I feel like if I remember correctly, I had a similar problem in Red Dead 2 where I kept trying to get on my horse and I kept shooting it or punching it or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's interesting. That's
that was a problem with a lot of people. Like they would try to get on their horse and they'd punch it.
Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose.
On YouTube.
They're different buttons, though.
I don't remember what it was, dude. It's been, how long has that game been out? That's been, what, 5-6 years? I don't remember. But I remember having an issue where I kept slapping my horse, not on purpose.
Did it kick you to death?
They usually run away.
And
then, if I remember,
which is the correct response.
Yeah, right? I mean,
it should. Yeah, you're beating this poor horse.
Right.
I do. Yeah, in Red Dead 2, I will occasionally tackle somebody to the ground because if you're sprinting and press triangle, you tackle them to the ground. The triangle.
I did that. I never punched my horse, but I did tackle people accidentally.
I don't know. So that's funny. But anyway.
I saw a clip today. I think I mentioned it in the past, but I saw a clip where there's a cut scene, and they threw a stick of dynamite right before the cut scene plays, and the woman who's in the cutscene gets just blown away by this dynamite stick, but they still run the clip as if nothing happened to her, and she's literally on fire, just having a normal conversation with your character, and the entire side of her face is burning, and then her skull is left, and she's just still carrying on the conversation, not reacting to the fact that she's engulfed in flames.
The beauty of in-engine cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like in a Bethesda game when you're talking to an NPC and a Deathclaw just comes and eats them mid-convo.
Yeah.
By the
way, I'm loving seeing all the Fallout clips popping up everywhere now. Like people are big into playing Fallout again. That makes me really want to go play that again.
It has the energy as though Fallout 5 did come out.
Yeah.
Like that's how much people are into Fallout again.
I keep seeing like on YouTube, I'm scrolling, you'll be like, how to play Fallout 4. What you need to know about Fallout 4. I'm like, this feels like it took me back.
Right, we're in a time machine.
Yeah.
As for me, Zach, you had a very productive week, by the way. 3 games finished.
So many of these games. I was basically like 3 hours from the finish line in all of these games, so it lined up nicely.
So what's next? Like you've got... Do you have anything else planned for
definitely
play next?
Trails to Azure will be my next bus game because I play those on Switch and they're really good for breaks at work or on my outrageously long bus ride. But as for a big game, I don't know yet. I don't know. A lot of games out.
There are
That's
a lot of games out. A lot of games. For me, I mentioned last week that I was playing Slay the Spire. I played a crap ton of Slay the Spire this weekend actually because I didn't have internet access up in the woods. And Slay the Spire was one of the rare games that did not require an internet connection on my phone, and I played a lot of it. I don't know if you remember, there's like 4 different characters you can play as, and each time you play as one of the characters, they kind of level up and they get unlocks after you get a certain amount of experience, depending on how far you get into the dungeon run or whatever. I've maxed out that first character. Like I can't get any more unlocks for that first character, and I'm over halfway through the second character, getting him unlocked.
So has this replaced Balatro as like your relaxation game?
Well, only by lack of options. I'm not at home. This is I was up out of. If Balatro were on my phone, I would have been playing Balatro.
Understood.
Like if that game comes to phone, as I've heard it is, I will pay for it again.
It's game over. Your life is over.
Like, yeah, like there's no way I'm not gonna. The only problem is that I wish I could transfer my current file from Xbox over to the phone because I don't want to start over.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
But keep dreaming.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
it'd be
know
nice
if
to
the
have it in
one
both
guy
places.
indie developer is going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't have a problem throwing money at him.
Right.
But it would be nice to do that. So, but yeah, Slay the Spire. It's crazy how different each of the characters play from each other, like vastly different from each other. But the unlocks definitely make it easier, and I start to see some of the builds that you can do, and like, oh, I can do this with this character, and then I just start wreaking havoc until I hit a wall and back down to the bottom again. But it's still good. Also, I checked out. I realized I had purchased it when it was on sale for like $2 months ago, and I still had it on my Switch. I started playing Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition.
It's a ridiculous name. I love it.
It is.
Which I have never played a Red Faction game, and I heard that the destructibility was a thing in these games.
Mhm.
And man, if it's not fun just going and finding these structures and planting explosives and making these buildings fall.
I mean, dude, that's the Red Faction bread and butter.
That is pretty solid. And then, like, anytime, then I'm getting shot at people and it turns into a shooter, and I'm like, no, this isn't fun. Just let me go blow up these buildings. This is way more fun. I was on a bus, so I couldn't really hear the dialogue very well, so I feel like I'm going to restart it just to, like, know it looked a lot better than I was expecting. Isn't this like a early 360 game or PS3 game?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think so, but I'm not totally sure.
And I know it's
I want to say 2010-ish.
Okay. And I know it's remastered,
Right.
but it looks genuinely a lot better than I thought it would. Like, even the character models and stuff feels like it was at least PS4, not PS3 era.
Now, have you played
You know what I
any Red Faction, or is this your introduction to the series?
My introduction to the series, so I have no idea if this is like what the others are like at all. But
It is not, but that's okay.
no,
Well,
are they like the turn-based strategy games?
No.
Or no? No, okay.
No.
No, I remember my uncle had one on the PS2, which I don't remember which one that was. And it was more of a shooter, right?
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
two are FPS games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
But they had the destruction stuff, which made multiplayer a lot of fun. Me and my brothers played a lot of Red Faction 2. That was kind of one of our go-to games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the campaign of Red Faction 2 is interesting because it has a distinction of Jason Statham playing one of the characters.
Oh, really?
And I think that's the only video game he's been in, maybe?
Wasn't there a video game on Crank? There had to have been a video game on Crank.
Yeah, but that might have been like a phone game or something, right? I doubt it had his
Oh.
voice performance, though I could be
Oh, okay.
wrong. If they made
Or maybe it's just because that movie felt like a video game.
well, the movie does feel like a video game, yes.
Yeah. So that's what I've been catching up on.
So you liked it? Are you going to play more of it, or did you get your destruction fix?
No. I definitely I got a little frustrated, like I said, that it turned into like combat. Like, you know, I didn't, and I don't think I had a weapon. I think all I had was
Your sledgehammer?
like mines and a hammer. And I'm like, I'm not going to get into a firefight with a sledgehammer. Like,
Yeah.
so I just ran and got back to base. And I'm like, if there's more of that, I think I'm, I might peace out. But I'm going to give it another shot. It was just a lack of options type of thing again, where I didn't have my console of choice with me. I did bring the Steam Deck with full intention of finishing Sands of Time, and that just didn't happen. Slay the Spire kind of took over, and I was always, and you're gonna laugh at me and probably look down at me for this, but anytime since I had no internet connection, I was so worried that I was gonna get stuck and just not have a clue what to do and not have a way to look up the. I know you've played the game 9,000 times.
No, I just, I don't think that was a concern you should have. That's all. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Apparently.
Aww.
I don't know why. I feel like I suck at games. I really do feel like I suck at games often. But
Even though you've been playing them for 40 plus years.
I know. It's kind of crazy.
So odds are you're probably decent.
You're probably
and
better than a lot of people.
passable.
I
Can
mean, you finish your games, Scott. So, I mean, that's a lot to say. Because most people don't finish games.
Yeah, that is
Not
true.
all of them. I
The
finished a lot of
majority
them.
you finish.
Still more than most people. Can you believe that by the time this episode airs, there'll be a brand new Prince of Persia game available to play?
You're very excited, aren't you?
To what? To hear about it?
Yeah, because you won't be able to play it right now.
I
mean,
which
if
is
you were
very
here-
sad.
Just saying, you were here.
You know what? Maybe I'll fly out to Rockford in the next weekend just to play Prince of Persia.
I had an epiphany, Zach.
Okay.
This should probably be like an off-air conversation, but I stopped at that coffee shop in wherever Wisconsin we were, and I was like, "What if we opened up a video game themed barista? Like we actually had classic consoles around for people to sit around, enjoy their coffee, and play a game.
Oh wow!
I could bring my collection, have that under lock and key. You could play any NES game you wanted.
Right.
We have a 64 up in there. All these games, and then I got you back there."
Can we attach a bookstore so then I'm over there?
In Fantasyland, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And then then we got a place to record. We just have like the back room. That's where we record our podcast. It's all in person. Run a business together. You teach me how to do
best
coffee.
Of every single world: coffee, video games, books.
Yeah, I'll run the business. You run the coffee, food.
Sure,
Alyssa. Yeah, let's do it. Anyway. Let's go and jump into the week's news before we all three change our career choices. Because there's a lot to talk about this week for sure. Before we get to the news, I do want to remind you guys about eWin Racing and their gaming chairs. I know you've heard me talk about them quite a bit, but guys, these chairs are legitimately awesome. I'm sitting in it right now. These two have sat in them Zach has sat in them. You have not, but
I have only
Zach
dreamed
has.
of it.
It's a good chair.
It is a very, very good chair. I have actually been struggling with why it was called eWin Racing since they started working with us, and then because it turns out that these were actually chairs that were designed for racing vehicles, for racing cars, and they decided to branch out and make them for gaming chairs instead. They are very, very comfortable, very durable. But the best part is that they're designed for gamers of all sizes. You don't have to be, a petite gamer like Alyssa. These things are rated for up to 500 pounds, and they actually ask you for your size, like your height and your weight and everything, so that they can make the chair that best suits your needs. They are great, and actually multiple people in our community have purchased them, and they've also said that they really enjoy them. Somebody on another podcast that I follow said, "Hey, who can you recommend me a gaming chair?" I recommended it, and one of our listeners who bought the chair also commented and said, "I second what Scott said. This chair is great. Seriously, check it out." And we actually have a promo code for you if you'd like to save a few dollars. You can use the code TGO at ewinracing.com. That will actually get you 25% off of your purchase. Again, code TGO, and the website is ewinracing.com. All right. Moving on to some new trailers that were announced this past week. First off, a game called Kingmakers. This is not a new trailer. I just missed it somehow. I had to mention this because this trailer, holy cow, this is a concept that I can't believe I've ever thought of. It's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC 2021. The rumors were true. Nintendo World Championship NES Edition is coming to Switch on July 19th. Also, a game called Sonic Rumble. I have no idea what platform, when it comes out, but it looks like a multiplayer Sonic game. I don't know if Sonic fans are stoked about that one, but I guess we'll ask Zach about that one.
We need to ask Kevin if he's excited.
Yeah, right. I actually texted him the link before I posted it on our social media, and he's like, "Okay." like normally he's just all excited about Sonic, and he was just like kind of an.
So he sounds kind of neutral on it.
Yeah, a little bit. PlayStation walked back their decision to require Helldivers 2 players to log into a PSN account on PC. Of course, they dropped that news.
I know.
Literally hours after we had a whole discussion on our episode last week.
I remember I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw that link. I'm like, oh, Scott went on his soapbox and I messaged it to you guys.
I got borderline angry. I was fired up. Also, Nintendo confirmed Switch 2 details will happen before 2025. Boy, that's a story that just keeps on giving and giving, and then we finally get a little bit of information, and nobody's talking about it. Did you notice that? People talk about it like crazy when there's rumors, but then Nintendo actually gives something.
No longer fun to speculate.
Yes. Also, Switch is losing Twitter and X integration, and I don't know what happened to the other story I had on here, but we got to talk about Microsoft.
Oh, it's because you weren't going to be here. So I made a decision. I just kind of looped it into the topic later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
But we can.
So
we can talk about it now or later. I don't care.
No, there's plenty of news stories. We'll just talk about
Yeah.
that in our thoughts about the Microsoft and the studio closures there.
Yeah.
Because that's what our topic's about. So we'll just loop that all together. But let's see, Zach, what story would you like to talk about here?
Well, I was going to talk about the Helldivers thing, but dude, this Kingmaker trailer,
Right?
it looks delightful. It reminds me of like the first time you see an Earth Defense Force trailer, and you're like, "What the hell am I watching here?"
Yeah.
And it felt like that. The idea of the modern military coming back to medieval times sounded like a blast, an absolute blast.
And like, why has nobody ever thought of this?
Because it's insane.
It is insane, but it just looks so much like. I was like, okay, this is great, and then an Apache helicopter flies over a castle, and I'm like, I am in. Sign me up in this game right now.
Or they're like driving a military truck through crowds of knights.
Yes,
Yeah.
like with a full shield and spears and everything like that.
Dude,
Oh,
it's-
looks great, and thankfully, because doesn't that game just scream that this is going to be a PC only game? But
yeah,
it's
that's
coming to
Yeah,
cons-
I agree.
it gives that vibe, yeah.
and then but then they said it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation. I'm like, all right, I am there
We're in.
Yep.
We're gonna be covering that one.
for sure. Don't even I don't even they didn't even give a for sure date. They just said 2024. Like, how did I miss this? The trailer's been out for like 2 months. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, man, it looks so good.
Yeah. Also, Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. I pre-ordered it because there's going to be some NES Edition and Nintendo World Championships going on at R2V2. I'm just gonna tell you
Oh,
right
yeah?
now. We're gonna have some brackets. There's gonna
Right.
oh
Bold.
man, there's gonna be some competitions going on there. So stay tuned for that. But
And as for Sonic Rumble, they describe it as a mobile royale, so I assume it's a phone game.
Oh, okay.
And until I read that, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give a Sonic Battle Royale a shot. That sounds fun. But
Okay.
I'm not going to play it on my phone.
I mean, when is playing a platformer or a fast game like that fun on your phone?
I don't think because they have the Apple Arcade exclusive Sonic game that looks really fun,
And everyone's giving that really high marks too.
right? But maybe it plays better if you have a backbone or something. But it's
Yeah.
not gonna.
Maybe, yeah.
Or if you're young, so you're used to these virtual buttons, but I just can't. I can't get around them in a way that's comfortable.
I
It's
can't
only-
either.
Yeah, I think it's only ever serviceable at best.
But yeah, Kingmakers. It's gonna be. I don't. I mean, it looks like it's. I don't even know if that's fair to say. It kind of looks like it's gonna be a budget game, like Earth Defense Force was a
Yeah,
was a
yeah. That's
cheaper
what I'm
game,
saying.
right?
Yeah.
It gives that kind of vibes. Yeah.
Man, I want to go back and just enjoy a game like I like Earth Defense Force because I played some of the other ones and they just don't click quite as well as that first one did.
It's impossible because the fun and surprise is gone.
And the destructibility looked terrible, but I didn't care. It was so much fun just like shooting buildings and watching them crumble to the ground.
Didn't they like crumble? Like it almost looked like a 2D sprite falling to the ground or something like that.
Yeah, it was like just the entire side of the building just like gave way and went straight down. It didn't collapse like
Yeah.
it tilted. It just crumbled like straight down, just like the one side, and then just disappeared into nothingness. Like it was just gone.
Dude, that's so
or like
fun.
or it hit the ground and the four panels of the building would just like kind of bounce around and then disappear. It was so good. It was so much fun. And too bad that one didn't have online co-op. That just had couch co-op.
Yeah.
But that was so much fun to play with somebody. But yeah. Alyssa, what story would you like to talk about?
I guess I'll follow last week and talk about Helldivers 2, which
Okay.
this time is PlayStation walking back their decision. So they're quoted as saying, "Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new and current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans."
And then it gets interesting. like before you get into the second half of the story, hallelujah, right? Like this is what should have been done at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This should never have been a thing.
Well, yeah.
So-
I mean, But of course, what's frustrating is that the executive who made that call, they're going to be fine. They'll probably get a bonus somehow.
Yep. Because they made the right decision in the end.
Yeah, in the end, of course. Only, do you think, is it because the fans rallied? Because I no doubt that is the start of this. Or is it because Steam was starting to give unrequited refunds?
Well, also the game was pulled from over 170 countries on Steam after that news, so you couldn't even buy it anymore.
Well, that would have been the right call.
Yeah.
If those countries are like, we don't have PSN here, we're not going to let them buy it because we don't want to have to deal with that backlash when all of a sudden in 2 weeks they can't play it anymore.
But yeah, shout out to Steam. It didn't matter if you played hundreds of hours. You didn't even have to be in one of the countries affected. They were just starting to give blanket refunds if you requested it. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm sure that got Sony's attention a lot quicker than bad reviews did.
So yeah, I'm glad that this happened. I just wish it would have happened about 2 hours sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
We just, I mean, this is inside baseball for people that listen to the show. We record on Sunday and the episode doesn't release till Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So I had 3 days to sit and stew on that. I'm talking about something that is old news. Like really old news because we recorded at the last minute, but
at least people got your genuine anger. That's
true. Yeah.
You don't get to see that too often, do you?
Yeah, it would have been tempered if they had put out this news, even though it shouldn't, right? Because this is such a brain dead move that they did, and they then you hear that they fired the community manager that said downvote the game on Steam.
The community manager from
Arrowhead.
Wow. Oh. I mean, yeah. The community, their own team. Okay, yeah, that dude deserves to be fired.
I disagree because he was rallying the community to do the only thing that they have words for or a voice with.
That's kind of a good point because that's part of the reason why they reversed it.
Well, that's what he said. If you review bomb it, we have more ammunition when we talk to Sony about this. So no doubt he got fired because ultimately the community manager's job is not actually to protect the community; it is to protect the company, right?
That's true. Yeah,
which is very frustrating, but it is what it is. Much like HR is never actually on your side; they're on the company's side,
right?
It's just so that sucks. But I'm glad he took one for the team, man.
Yeah,
he did.
Good on that guy.
And there's like a whole campaign, like where they're trying to get people to go back and change their reviews again. They've even gone as far as, I've not played Helldivers 2, but they have capes in that game, and they've made a cape that actually shows the bar graph of the reviews, like how they started dropping, and then it's like been like this symbol or whatever to unite people to come back and fix this, and then so they've started to go back upwards, and they've like actually put that as a cape in the game with like the new bar graph, which I just think is it's just a very Helldivers 2 thing to do, right? Like with the whole community aspect that they've got going with that game. Which
I was gonna say that's a very good point. They really messed with the worst community they possibly could, right? The whole point of the game is rallying for democracy,
right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, man, and now I can feel less bad about buying the game if I want to. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about
that.
Yeah.
So
will we actually play it? Who knows? Well, we should.
We really should.
Support Arrowhead.
Is it a game though where like you have to like have been in it in the ground floor, or can you start? Because I feel like that's just an ever growing game, right? I'm speaking from a place of ignorance. I don't understand the game fully. But can you just jump in at any point?
I would hope so, right?
I mean, we've already missed on some of the surprises, right?
Yeah, I was too. I don't know if Helldivers 2 is like building a grand narrative. It's just kind of like fun things they're doing with the community, right?
Yeah, I don't mean like grand narrative, but I mean like when they introduced the flying bugs, that was like a mind-blowing thing to everybody, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying
we're gonna miss out on that.
But if we get in now, we'll be there for the future surprises. We really should.
Just so many games.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. Like, I'm just worried it'll cut into time for other games because it's multiplayer.
Yep.
And I worry it's burning time, but that's not a good way to look at it, right? If I'm having fun, I'm having fun. It shouldn't matter.
Right, but I feel like my multiplayer time is taken up with Baldur's Gate 3. You know what I mean? I have only so many precious hours. I really just got to start prioritizing what I love. I really do. But
yeah,
I want to talk about the Switch 2 thing. I know it's very little details, but the the CEO at Nintendo, Alyssa, help me out here, Furukawa?
Yeah,
Furukawa?
it is actually hard to... Furukawa, yeah.
Furukawa. He says, we will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within the fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. End quote. So that basically means the Direct in June is only going to be about software. No announcements about the Switch 2 will be made at that time. They're just basically prepping people. Look, yes, it exists. Something is coming. We're going to announce it. Fiscal year for them is March of 2025. So before April, we will have an answer of what the Switch 2 is, or the Nintendo Snap, or whatever it's going to be called.
Or the Switch.
The Switch. I don't know, but what's interesting, and the reason I wanted to put this story in here, and I kind of mentioned this when I first just mentioned the story at all, was this is the first thing we've heard from Nintendo about it, right?
That's true.
Everything else that we've heard about Nintendo Switch 2 has been rumors, or someone, a peripheral company in Mexico, discovered this, and they got to touch it but not see it, and
Well, my uncle works at Nintendo, and he said the Switch 2 is coming in March.
Did he? Okay. I would have assumed this Christmas. Honestly, I thought it would have been a bold play, but also whatever's going to be announced in June, during quote unquote E3 season, is I'm really curious about, because there's not a whole lot on the horizon for Nintendo right now.
Say what's left for them to remaster?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, Wind Waker.
Well, that would be the ideal. I would happily pay for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Switch.
So would I.
Yeah.
And I own them. I could easily just go play them right now, but I would rather play them on Switch. It's just convenient.
Right.
But then it'll be like the crossover, right? Like, unless the games are all backwards compatible for whatever the Switch 2 is, we're gonna have that where there's like a Switch version and a Switch 2 version of the game. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there will be a $70 Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 remaster.
Right. Without a doubt.
On day one, and everyone will buy it.
Yep.
Well, that's the week's news. Let's move on ahead, and we're going to start talking about some of the newer games that are coming out and that we've been checking out. But before we do, I want to remind everybody about how you can help the Gaming Outsider. If you like this show and would like to support us, you can do so at our Patreon. We don't require it. You can listen to all these episodes for free. But if you'd like to, maybe give us a thank you or a little bit of a tip, you can go to patreon.com/thegocast. Certain tiers will give you the episode a little bit earlier than everybody else. Others will give you bonus episodes, such as the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler cast with Zack, myself, and Brandon Smith, who, by the way, is going to be at R2V2, confirmed it today. Also, I did a Fallout spoiler cast with CB and David Newman from the community. And we got a bunch of stuff in the plans as well. CB and Alyssa have not done a Desert Island episode with Mr. Paul Hine from the community. If you're not familiar, Desert Island episodes are where we sit down with somebody from the community and ask them what their top 5 favorite games of all time are, but also what 5 games they would pick if they were stranded on a desert island for whatever amount of time. It makes for great conversation. Zack and I sat down with Paul a while ago for us to give our choices, and we're going to give Alyssa and CB the same chance to do the same thing. Also, Kevin and I are going to be doing a trade-off episode. I picked up my copy of Evolution: The World of Sacred Device on Dreamcast from, I think I mentioned it last week. I picked it up from CB. Going to get that set up tomorrow and start that. It's about a 30-hour JRPG according to How Long to Beat. And Kevin has already started Paper Mario on N64 as well. And then our Break the Seal. We keep talking about it. We're going to do it. Lone Ranger and Sands of Time. We really need to get that done because I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the Lone Ranger. But again, not only that, if you sign up today for Patreon, you get access to our entire back catalog of episodes that we've ever done. And they're actually cataloged on our website. There's a link in the show notes for it that will just kind of break it down by category and give you handy links to take you right to them because the Patreon app isn't super friendly to go navigate those older episodes. So right off the bat, you do $3 or $5 a month, you're going to have so much stuff to listen to, and it's all a lot of fun. So patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead now and jump into the newer games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, can you tell me what is coming out this week?
Sure. Indie or smaller scale Souls like Morbid, The Lords of Ire comes to PS5, Xbox Series Console, Xbox One, Switch, as well as PC May 17th. System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition finally goes off of PC and onto PS5, PS4, Xbox Series Consoles, and Xbox One May 21st. Hellblade or Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 comes to Xbox Series Consoles and PC May 21st. Not that you would know it based on Microsoft's marketing.
Right?
Venture to Vile comes to PC May 22nd. World of Goo 2, like 15 years after the first one, comes to Switch and PC May 23rd. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is going to wreak havoc on the secondary market, thank God, when it comes to Switch on May 23rd. Galactic Care, you can run your own hospital in outer space on PS5, Xbox Series Consoles, Xbox One, and PC May 23rd. And then finally, you could solve the most important crime of all in Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, coming to Switch and PC May 23rd.
Scott. No one can see this, but Scott is grinning and just slowly nodding his head.
When Scott thinks about secret salamis, he gets excited.
Yep, he does.
So, Pervert Clark, what game on this list are you interested in?
I got 2 of them. But this is the funny thing. I own System Shock 2 on my Steam Deck.
Uh-huh.
Have yet to play it.
Sure.
But now that it's coming to Xbox,
You're going to play it.
I'm probably going to play it on Xbox. Which is dumb. But I am actually really excited to play Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door again. I remember I played through it when it first came out. I did not like it as much as I liked the original Paper Mario. And I don't remember why, because everyone ranted and raved about how great the writing was. And for whatever reason, it felt like it dragged on and on in my head. So I'm looking forward to giving that one another shot, because I just finished up Mario RPG a while ago. And this feels like a perfect one to jump into.
Right on. What about you, Alyssa?
I have 3. I definitely want to play Senua Saga Hellblade 2 just because I adored the first game.
Because the commercials look great?
Oh yeah, those commercials. I'm also wanting to play Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door just because I've never played a Paper Mario game before, and I've heard a lot of great things about this specific one.
Yeah.
Is this one also the one that's on Nintendo Switch Online, or is that the first one?
The first one is on Nintendo Switch Online.
Okay.
They would not really, because the second one was on GameCube, and there's no GameCube games on Nintendo Switch Online.
Okay, gotcha.
And it is so highly desired that you can easily charge $60 for a remake of it.
Yeah, it's hard to find a GameCube copy of that game.
Right.
Which
Okay,
is weird.
gotcha.
It's a Mario game.
Which is why Zack said the second-hand market will be
Exactly.
wreaked upon. And then I can't. Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. I just love detective games, and you play as a duck detective. How am I supposed to, pass that up?
I don't know how
And
you
it's
do
got
it.
the secret salami.
It's got a duck with a deep, pained noir voice.
Yes, I
That's
need
delightful.
it. I need this in my life. So those are my 3. What about you, Zach?
Well, I'm definitely interested in Hellblade 2. I almost feel like I've been hearing about this game for so long that somehow my interest has waned.
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't put it on mine, man, honestly.
Yeah, it's just like get on with it at this point, especially because this game announced, I think, in 2019, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been like 5 years, and every 6 months since then, I've watched a random out of context cutscene of Hellblade 2 that Microsoft has shown me, and I just feel like they've kind of killed my enthusiasm for it. And I think I was a little bit surprised. I know we're advocates for shorter games, but I was surprised to hear it was only going to be a 6 to 8 hour game, considering how long it's been in development and how long they've been talking about it.
Oh, it's only 6 to 8 hours?
Yeah.
I thought I heard someone say 12 hours.
They said it was similar length to the first Hellblade.
Okay. Well, that was 6 to 8 hours. So
Yeah, but it might be a little longer. Maybe they're being conservative, and that sounds great. That's probably what Game Pass really needed to survive. Right? Would be like a 6-8 hour first party exclusive every quarter or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it's just something about it. I don't have the excitement for it that I did when it was announced. I was stoked, but I just feel like they crushed it out of me. But the game I'm most excited for on this list, a guaranteed play, is Duck Detective: The Secret Salami.
Yeah.
I'm all over
Seriously.
that bad boy. Dude, I'm all for it. I mean, I love noir movies. Give me that duck spin on it. I can't wait to gobble up that Secret Salami. Sounds delicious. Let me find out what's going on there. And there was, and I don't know, I like that the developers upfront about like, it's like a 3 to 4 hour murder mystery kind of thing.
short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet, to the point. I'm like weirdly stoked for Duck Detective. I think it really is. If he didn't have the voiceover narration, I don't know if I would be as interested, but there's something about a duck who sounds like he drinks whiskey every day that I'm just really into. It sounds delightful.
Do you ever watch, this is going to sound like a totally random poll, but do you ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I've seen it before, yeah.
Yeah.
The improv show.
Mm-hmm.
They do a sketch or whatever where it's like noir, where they do that, like where the main character like talks at the camera and then backs up and does like that. So whenever I see anything noir like that, it reminds me of that, or like those old movies that are all in black and white and the dude's just like in his office, you know, like in his detective
the femme fatale
office.
walks in.
Yeah.
Always smoking a cigarette. With just like lingering in the air.
Yeah, I feel like they were always on TCM when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Turner classic movies. Yeah, and I want to say Hellblade 2, I'm sure will be very good when I do play it. And I'm happy they're making the length of game they want. I just really thought that this was going to be the kind of their moment where, you know, it's like, oh, Ninja Theory, like, you know, they're almost like their Naughty Dog moment. You're like, oh my God, these guys are stepping it up. But it seems like it really is just going to be more Hellblade, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more curious than excited at this point, if that makes sense.
And it is somewhat concerning that the game is less than 2 weeks from release and Xbox seems to have not noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not promoting it.
Well, and like, why would they decide to make this decision 2 weeks before one of their biggest games of the year comes out? It just seems poor timing, dude. At least let the game come out first and then drop your bad news.
Yeah.
Well, and as we'll talk about later, it kind of doesn't matter if the game succeeds or fails. They're still on the same level of chopping block.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good you do. Anyway.
Well, let's move on. Zach, you have been playing a game that I would like to hear about. And the game is called Sclash? Am I saying that correctly?
Terrible name.
Yes. It is a terrible name.
A truly atrocious title.
Yeah.
The game itself is pretty fun. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Scott?
No, I'm curious how this works because I watched the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looks like a fighting game, but it's just like it's like samurai facing off, and it's one hit kills. Is that correct?
Right.
Like, there's no gauge. It's just like you have to get that one hit in to kill. I love the art style.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Not even just the art style, but the camera work. Like where the camera zooms in and back out. Is that like happening all the time, or is that just like in between matches, or what?
That kind of happens when you do an effective parry. It'll like go into slow motion and super zoom in on the fight, and show you the character deflecting the other's blade. It's pretty cool. It's got a pretty cool style to it, and the whole like I guess watercolor paint aesthetic it's gorgeous, especially in motion. Looks incredible.
Right.
Yeah. So I will say off the bat, you need to know the story because they have a story mode. It's only about an hour long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's short.
Which is not what I expected. I really thought I didn't expect it to be a full length kind of thing, but I really thought it was going to be a few hours. But it really is in and out. It's essentially a glorified tutorial.
I was going to say, it's probably like the tutorial of how to play the game.
Yes, basically. And it does kind of have a cool mythology bend to the story. Like you're interacting with Amaterasu and Susanoo, so the Japanese gods, and it tells a fun little mythological parable or whatever. But it really is just there to teach you the mechanics, and the actual combat. Yeah, is a lot of fun. It is one hit kill. I I was intrigued because I remember playing a lot of Bushido Blade back in the day, or at
Mhm.
least a demo a lot. This is a little less interesting because Bushido Blade had like those giant environments you could kind of like run around and goad your opponents into attacking or try to get a height advantage. It had really good levels. Whereas this is just a straight up, it's just on a 2D plane, so it's a lot simpler than say Bushido Blade, but it's still call that to mind. But the combat is basically a game of you're either dodging your opponent's attack or trying to parry it, and then each character has like 4 bars of stamina.
Mhm.
So if you run out of stamina, then you don't have the energy to deflect or parry or anything. So you can really putting yourself at a huge disadvantage there. So
Can you come back from it? Can you recover stamina?
Yeah, if you do a successful parry, you get a little bit more stamina, or if you just wait, it'll refill. If you can avoid your enemy, for a long enough time. But it kind of almost comes down to a mind game in that way, where you're deciding, should I goad them into attacking and then try to dodge behind them, or should I feint, or maybe I should look like I'm going crazy so it tricks them into attacking me and then I can parry them. It's definitely interesting. And the online matches, human opponents are a lot more interesting than AI in that way, because it's kind of hard to lose against the AI because odds are they're going to attack and then you can just parry and follow up, and it's really easy. Because in the online match, you may parry an attack and then follow through with your own, right? But there's nothing that can stop them from dodging it or parrying it themselves other than their stamina. So it is just kind of a back and forth, almost more of a mind game than it is a fighting game in that way.
This is going to sound like a really weird comparison, but there was a baseball game on Super Nintendo called Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, I believe. And they had a mechanic in that game where when you would slide into second or slide into third, and the defender had to tag the player, if it wasn't a force out.
Uh-huh.
And they had basically like a rock, paper, scissors mechanic where the one player would put their glove either in the top, in the middle, or the bottom. And then a player sliding in would put their hand to reach for the bag on the top, middle, or the bottom. So it was like a 2 out of 3 chance. The runner had a 2 out of 3 chance to get it in the right spot, whereas the tagger only had a 1 out of 3 chance. Is there anything? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like I'm trying to play this mind game.
Yeah, I actually think that's not too far afield of what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want to pick the right skill to what they're doing. Yeah, that's a decent comparison.
Okay. I don't know why it reminded me of that. Just like I haven't thought about that game in years.
I don't know. That is truly bizarre, Scott.
Yeah. Very oddly specific mechanic in a baseball game. I wonder if anybody else remembers that game. I think it was Ken Griffey Jr.
Right. Because of that, it's a little too simple to want to play. Like, you wouldn't want to play this hours at night or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad to do a few matches. And I think if I was playing on the couch with somebody, I think that would be a really fun game to play with a real human. Kind of have that energy back and forth. But playing with randos online, it's fun, but it's not incredibly, doesn't have like an incredible amount of depth. But the concept of Disney, it's only a $10 game too. So, it's not a huge risk, huge investment rather.
It feels like one of those games that would be a punch your buddy in the shoulder.
Yes.
After a match type of thing.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You got me. Bam.
I think
All right,
that's
next
fair.
match.
Yeah.
You just have like a tally, like a dry erase board with tally marks for each of you to keep track of who's got the most wins.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Back in the old days.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to do. We keep talking about one of these times the 3 of us or 4 of us are going to get together over the summer and just get an Airbnb and play games all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That could be one of the things we do.
Yeah,
that's when we'll play Helldivers 2.
Oh yeah. Sit next to each other via our online connection.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Helldivers has split screen.
Yeah, it's probably not. It's good.
No. I don't know. Yeah. So I think I would recommend it if you're going to play it with somebody, but I don't know if you need to buy it especially if you're, wanted to play single player for an hour, it's not really, it's like, it's just warming up by the time you're done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not too exciting.
At least go watch the trailer because man, it looks really good.
It does.
Right. Yeah. If you really care about indies, it's worth picking up just because of how cheap it is.
Right. At $10.
Right. And it's definitely unique, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
But Alyssa,
Yes.
Are you kidding with me? Are you still joking on your sim deck?
I love it.
Yes. How is still joking?
I am really loving this game so far. I'm not finished with it yet, but it's just it feels unique in a way. And I can't say too much about the story, but I can give a little bit about it. So basically, there's this famous actress named Serena Elsie, and she's in front of her mirror getting ready to film, when all of a sudden you see her being murdered. Happens in like the first minute. And then it shows on the opposite side of the mirror, her reflection sits back up, but she sees Serena's body dead in the chair on the other side. So now the reflection is alive, but the person is dead. So her reflection is now a living being. And you learn that this is actually like a separate universe, so the other side of the mirror, that reflection is their own person, basically. And since Serena has died, Iris, who is the reflection, is basically told, okay, you're your own person now, so you gotta get a job, you gotta figure out what you want to do with your life now instead of being this person's reflection. Good luck.
Kind of an interesting premise.
Yeah, it's a really interesting premise, and that is all I can say about the story, pretty much. Of course, Iris wants to solve Serena's murder, like why it happened, what was the motive, but she's also having to adjust to being someone that is no longer attached to a person. She's her own individual now. So you influence that, and I love that aspect of the story because it does have some visual novel aspects, but then there's also choices you make, and these choices really feel like they matter. I'm gonna see at the end if they actually do or not, but right now they feel like they really matter. Because you might get 3 different options. You choose one option, those other 2 options, you're never gonna see what happens in those. So you choose which one you think is best suited for you and your playstyle, or, you know, the opposite of what you want to do, just whatever. But yeah, I'm finding it really intriguing. You make different dialogue options. You can make her... She's always super sarcastic, which is part of why it's called Still Joking. But you can make her nicer but still sarcastic, neutral but sarcastic, or extra sarcastic.
Oh, okay, is that
in her responses to people, and that changes her bonds with people as well.
How sarcastic do you like to be, Alyssa?
I am choosing to make her sweet sarcastic, because I feel like that's more of my angle, but you could choose to do it any kind of way. You could actually mix and match. And I do occasionally, like, if I don't like a character, I'll just go full sarcastic on them.
Oh, okay.
But I love the fact that it feels like my choices matter, and what I choose to do feels like it's shaping Iris's story. And also, there is the lingering murder mystery in the background as well, which I'm always a sucker for. And there are new revelations being unfolded, and I'm just fully invested in the story so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Because I genuinely do not know what's going to happen. But I like the fact that it feels like what I'm choosing matters right now. Like, this is shaping my personal gaming experience.
Very cool. Definitely an Alyssa game.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I think is.
The premise alone makes me want to play it. It's just so unique.
It's definitely unique. Definitely, I mean, I've never heard of a game where you play as a reflection before.
Right.
Like, you're just the reflection.
Say the only thing I could think of similar concept is Us. The Jordan Peele movie.
Oh yeah, the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually talking about, like, the 3 of us.
Yeah, I was like, us.
We're all just reflection. You didn't know that? We're living in a simulation, guys. We're a reflection of the real people plugged into the machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We're just Duracells. That's it. Well, thanks for checking that out, Alyssa. We got one more review for you. I sat down with Joel Solinsky from our community, who checked out a game that I am very eager to talk about. We're going to check that out right now. Well, hello there, Joel. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing fantastic. I just found out that I get to go to a baseball game with you coming up here in a couple weeks, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. This is going to be epic.
It's going to be great. I haven't been to a game since last year. Actually, I don't even know if I went last year, but I haven't been to a game. Did I go to a game with you?
We met at a game.
We met at a game. Yeah, you were there. We were both happen to be going to the same game, but we didn't sit together. So
Yep.
This will be one where we're actually coordinating. We're going to do some tailgating, eating some brats. It's going to be great. Maybe have some pizza. Maybe not, but it's a great way to segue into what we're talking about, which is a game you've been playing called TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants. I've actually, Joe, if you believe it, I've actually seen this arcade cabinet at our local arcade. We had a place in town called Tilted 10, and they have this machine there. Have you played this before you played this game?
I have not, but I would love to see the arcade cabinet.
Okay, well, you come to Rockford, man. We're actually having an event at Tilted 10. I don't know if you heard on the episode, but we're doing a Extra Life gaming marathon. We're going to be there for 24 hours straight, raising money for the kids.
That's awesome.
They're giving us the entire arcade, so that's going to be pretty cool. Anyway, this game, TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants, was developed by Cradle Games and Raw Thrills. It was published by Game Mill Entertainment, and we got to give a shout out to Sandbox Strategies for hooking us up with a copy of this game. Now, this comes, I'm not going to say hot off of the heels of the last TMNT game, Shredder's Revenge, which we all know was available on Game Pass, but also for purchase. Hugely lauded as a really great, fun beat 'em up game. So I was very excited to see that this arcade was ported to console as well, because it looks like a lot of fun. I never played it. Tell me about it. Is it more of the same? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 or Turtles in Time and that kind of beat 'em up?
Yeah, it's definitely very much in that line. A lot of fun, simple controls. I actually played it using an arcade stick to try and really get the real arcade feel. So that was cool.
Yeah, because you're a fighting game guy, so you have those fighting game sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I just plugged it in and used that, and you've got attack, jump, special attack. Nothing real advanced, but definitely a lot of fun. Grabbing pickups like pizza to restore your health and turtle shells to increase your turtle power so you can fire off your special abilities, which is very cool. And then you've got the different characters to use with their different weapons. A lot of fun, a lot of interesting levels. The graphics are super crisp, really clean, and no slowdown.
Awesome. Even with lots and lots of enemies on the screen, it never slows down?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was playing it on a Series X,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it pushed it very hard, but it looked fantastic. I enjoyed the sound. I was playing with headphones with Dolby Atmos on them. The sound was good, very deep, rumbly when you were doing things, stuff exploding, bosses firing lasers. Just a blast.
Very cool. And is there a lot of difference between the characters when you play them? Because I know in past games, they all kind of play pretty much the same. They have a different special move. Some might have a little bit different reach, but overall, they kind of just play the same.
That's exactly how it is here. Yep.
Okay.
Choose your favorite turtle or your favorite color, and away you go.
Okay, so everyone's going to do Leonardo then, because he's clearly the best turtle.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, there's no art. You're the first person I've talked to that didn't have a different answer than me, so that's awesome. What's the story? What's Wrath of the Mutants? What's going on here?
So it basically they've added some stuff from what I've looked at from the arcade game. They've added a few levels and they've changed the boss a little bit. So I don't want to give too much of it away for anybody that played the arcade and wants to play this, because they did add some stuff, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, it feels like a plot from one of the shows actually, just told in episodes. So
like the old school cartoons, like the one from the 90s?
Well, more like the ones from Nickelodeon.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And it tells a story, although you can do the levels in different orders. The story is kind of still there. And then at the end, of course, you get to meet Shredder.
Is there a game where you don't face off against Shredder at the very end?
No.
Is it a Turtles game if you don't fight Shredder at some point? I do gotta ask though, because I have some concerns. As fun as this game looks, I got the impression that there's no online co-op. Is that true?
That is true.
I do not
very
understand
unfortunate.
That. Yeah.
If you're going to play, couch co-op, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of fun playing it solo. In fact, I wish the game had been longer just because I was really enjoying the gameplay. It's a lot of fun. They did a
Mm-hmm.
great job with this.
Yeah. How long is it?
I beat it in around an hour to get through all the levels on normal mode. Now, you could, of course, increase the difficulty and whatnot, but it's still the same game, right? It's just enemies hit harder, you have less health, less chances, basically.
Right.
They cut down on the continues.
Is there any, motivation to play through multiple times other than just I beat it on the hard mode? Are there fun unlocks or anything like that?
I haven't found any unlocks. Now, I don't know if there is, but it's not like there's multiple paths through the level. I didn't find anything that looks like it would be, a secret. It's definitely a fun ride. I just wish it was long.
I hear you. Well, are you recommending this one for people to pick up?
Yes, if you're gonna play couch co-op, for sure. Have a party night at your house. Order some pizza, right?
Right.
And play the game. Absolutely, this game will be a riot. For single players, you really got to be into the Turtles or into the arcade game to spend money on something that's about an hour-ish.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad because it sounds like it's a gorgeous game, really well put together, just a very short game, which makes the price point a little bit hard to swallow. Not that it's not worth what they put into this game. I imagine a lot of it has to do with the licensing anyway, right?
Right.
So that's probably. But did you say it's like $30?
Yeah, I think it's like $29.99, whatever. Which as AAA's keep getting higher and higher, that's really not bad. But
right.
At the same point, that's still $30.
No, I know. I'm just coming from the generation of Xbox 360 players that was like, oh, $14.99 for an Xbox game, for an arcade game. Come on, you know what I mean? So
right.
Things are getting more expensive. It's inflation is a thing, but it's just a bummer that there's no online, because like when you were talking about it before you actually started talking about reviewing it, we were chatting over text, and I was like, man, this sounds really fun. Maybe I'll grab it so I can do co-op with you, and then that's not an option, and I wasn't gonna pick it up if there wasn't the ability to play with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat as we are. We're friends, but we live hours apart, so it's not like couch co-op is something we can just, hey, come on over on a Friday night, right?
Right. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for checking it out. Again, the game is TMNT, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, Wrath of the Mutants. You're playing on an Xbox, but it sounds like it's available everywhere. Sounds really cool. I can't decide if I want to, go buy it or just go to the arcade and play some for real. It's
the only advantage of buying this one is you do get the extra levels.
That's true. There's the extra level, so I guess I'm gonna have to do it, man. All right, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. As always, it's awesome to chat with you, man.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Have a good one.
Hey, you too. Catch you later. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate it as always. Very quickly, want to go run through our social media outlets. First off, facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We got 2 new members over there, Jesse Santangelo and Bobby Colwell. Also over on Discord, which again, there is a link in the show notes for our Discord if you'd like to join the community. Jay Santange, which I want to go on a limb and say that's also Jesse who joined the Facebook group. So welcome. Hope you're enjoying the show and enjoying the community over there. We've got some awesome people. Also, do us a favor if you can. Drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to episodes on Spotify. If you have the option, I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify, so I don't know if they even offer that. But wherever you listen, please give us a rating and tell your friends. We would love to be in the ears of other people. Tell them about the Gaming Outsider. It helps us out there to get the word out. And lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. That's where you can find all of our episodes as well if you'd like to listen to it there, or all of our written reviews, which, Alyssa, you're going to have to help me out here because they're not published as of this moment, but they will be by the time this episode releases. What is up there right now?
Well, I have a written review for Sucker for Love, Date to Die For, and Jacob Gunderson has a review for Real Estate Simulator, From Bum to Millionaire.
There you go. Thank you very much. Again, the website is thegamingoutsider.com. Let's go now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Now, Zach, I did not tell you this. I didn't think of it until just now. But you actually wrote this portion of the document. Like, you actually put together this whole question and everything.
Sure.
So I don't feel right reading what you've written here. So I'm going to let you lead the topic, as long as you're okay with that.
Sure. I can do that.
All right.
Well,
take it away.
Xbox wasn't content to let PlayStation be the only arbiter of bad news this month. They said, hold my beer, and unleashed hell. Shuttering 4 studios, man. Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, and Roundhouse Studio, who's technically, they're just being absorbed into ZeniMax Online to work with Elder Scrolls Online, but still, they get to lose their identity.
Right.
Before we get into trying to celebrate the studios we've lost along the way, I wanted to know what you guys would make of these closures. And Scott, you're going to fill in for CB, who was originally supposed to go first here.
I mean, is there anything to feel but just awful? I mean, there's no good way to say this. These are people that lost jobs. These are people that produce some bangers.
Right, like Hi-Fi Rush is their only Game of the Year nominee in years.
Yeah,
Xbox.
so one game that actually got a Game Award nomination, and they closed the studio. It's the only game. Like,
yeah,
I understand things have to get. You got to trim the fat a little bit, and
but Aaron Greenberg, right? Do you remember when Hi-Fi Rush came out and they said it blew away their expectations by every metric?
Yeah, it wasn't even like like they said with Tomb Raider. What was the third Tomb Raider game called?
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. When Square Enix was like, it sold great, and like, but it didn't meet expectations. They actually, with the Hi-Fi Rush, said this thing exceeded our expectations. And you might think, oh, well, they put it on Game Pass, so maybe they didn't get as many sales. No, people still bought the game, like
Right.
way more than they expected.
It's on PlayStation's top 20 of the month.
Yeah, this Microsoft exclusive.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
That's the one. I mean, I'm not happy by any of it. Don't get me wrong. I do not like. At one point, I wanted to get into the games industry in some capacity, whether it be PR or voice acting or something like this, and just the way that the industry has gone this last year has made me go, no, it's too late for me. Because if I get in now, I'm going to be at the back of the line on the chopping block if a studio or whatever does even survive. So it's just when's it going to stop? Like,
right,
you kind of predicted it, Zach, right?
Well, which aspect of it? Oh no.
Well, I mean, when we were all kind of cheering on Microsoft and these acquisitions back in the day, and you were like, "Hey, wait a minute," and I didn't.
Yeah, that's true. I was against it.
Yeah, and I was like, "Come on, man, get on board. This is the happy trail. This is what you're talking about,
Dude." There's nothing worse for the Xbox brand than buying Activision, because now Microsoft has to pay attention to them, right? Because they're such a huge part of their business.
right?"
Not that Xbox leadership was great anyway, but this really proves that how does Matt Booty have a job? It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
That last name is just.
I mean, he is so bad at his job, and he got promoted.
Yeah,
but he cannot run these studios. Clearly,
so
they can't get games out on time.
Did you read the quote that he said? Like,
from
after
Matt Booty,
this happened,
one day after Tango closed, it said we need smaller games for more prestige and awards.
You mean the studio you just closed? The smaller game that would give you prestige and awards? You just got rid of them.
Right.
Yeah, what a tone-deaf quote.
The
on his part.
the only Japanese studio you have in a country you keep trying to get a foothold in.
Yeah.
That's also true. I didn't even think about that.
What the hell are you thinking?
And then on top of that, did you see the controller that they announced like hours after this news drop?
No. Is it a Hi-Fi Rush controller?
No, it's like a. I've got it linked in I put a bunch of links in here. They released like a new skin or a new controller with a new design on it that looks like flames or whatever, and they pulled all because like their advertising slogan for it was like "Feel the burn."
Oh my
Like
god!
really, that's the branding you're gonna go with the same day that you release these people lost their jobs, and they literally pulled it. They had to pull it all because everyone was like, "That seems really in poor taste."
Yeah, dude, that's messed up.
It is, yeah.
Feel the burn.
No,
And
I did
then
not
just
see
a controller with flames on it.
What makes me so angry about this story is these people that actually are the lifeblood and made this money for these companies, made a quality game. What else do you expect an formerly independent developer to do but make a banger? Because remember when they announced it? It was like the shadow drop thing, like, hey,
Right.
here's this awesome
Mhm.
game, and they did what they never do, and it's like you can play it right now, and everybody ate it up, loved it, it won awards, it did great. People were still talking about it even after the Game Awards, and they shut them down. But Bobby Kotick from Activision
that.
is out with millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
I just don't understand. You could have taken a fraction of that golden parachute and funded.
Well,
This is why I would never make it in the business world, dude.
I'm sure the money they gave Kotick was in his contract with Activision, right? About maybe some kind of escape clause if they get acquired and gets gotten rid of or whatever. Like I'm sure there wasn't much they could do there. However,
Yeah.
you know, this is Microsoft. This is the first company to hit $1 trillion valuation.
It's not like they had a bad year.
Right. Pretty sure they could swing it. And and maybe they're seeing something in the forecasting where they need to cut jobs, right? Because for some reason the execs thought that the COVID bubble was going to last forever. But if that's the case, why aren't the people who made that shot getting in trouble?
Right.
Why are they getting bonuses? Why aren't they getting fired?
Because
You would think if
employees are
you're
commodities.
If you were the reason that we overshot our marks, I kind of feel like that's on you. Where does the buck stop?
Yeah.
And why doesn't it work that way in the corporate world?
Yeah.
Why is it that always the lower people are the ones that get
Right.
burned?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my thing. If I know a lot of people try to make the argument of like, oh, this is just right sizing for the economy. But that's hard to believe when these companies have record setting profits.
Right.
That and even if it was true, you think another good way to save some money is to fire the people who put you in the position anyway.
Right. So they don't make the same mistake again.
Right. So if you do need to close Tango Gameworks, as you say you do, don't you also need to get rid of the guy who put so much money into Tango Gameworks, acquiring them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to do to get fired as a higher executive position? I genuinely want to know.
I don't know.
If Matt Booty can't get fired, nobody can. Right? Because he's the one, you know, in direct control of the Xbox family of studios, right? Because Phil Spencer's in charge of Xbox, who is also a guy I will no longer be rooting for. I'm done with Phil. I can't.
Really?
He's talking out of the both side of his mouth way too often. I just can't trust the guy anymore.
I'm starting to feel that way a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to. He is quite likable, and he does seem to really know and care about video games. But he obviously just, I don't know. I mean, he had the hardest job in the world trying to recover from the Xbox One.
Yeah.
But oh boy, I don't know.
He did a good job for a while.
He did. But Matt Booty, how do you fumble the opportunity of Game Pass is clear as day, and they mess it up, right? Like the idea of we will have a big exclusive every quarter, and it's just gonna kind of keep compounding on each other to the point where you're like, man, it would be stupid if I didn't have Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
How do you mess that up? Because they haven't been releasing the games. They have no studio management at all. When they do put out a game like Redfall, it's half done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And you do get hi-fi rushes, of course, or Forzas, but you also get whatever the hell they did with Halo Infinite's multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And just ruin all of their momentum. They cannot run these studios. And yet they continue to be in charge.
And what sucks is like it felt like Xbox was finally going to have a chance to catch up. Right.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the road was paved before them, but they decided to go off the trail on the side.
Yep. They did what we all hoped they wouldn't do, but partially expected them to do. And here we are. It's just very frustrating. Alyssa, we haven't let you speak in a while. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's just sad, and I follow a lot of people on Twitter that are in the gaming industry, and it's just so much heartbreak. And some of the people I follow that I'm mutuals with worked at Microsoft, and they're out of job now. And it's just always heartbreaking to see studios be closed, but especially like these studios, especially Tango Gameworks, because I mean they've made nothing but great games. I mean, Evil Within 2, Hi-Fi Rush,
Yeah,
and now
Evil Within 2, so
now they're shut down. I mean, I know Arcane Austin, Redfall was not, what people expected it. But I mean, they could have had a chance to make something else.
Well, if you'll remember, Phil said that was Microsoft's fault, not Arcane Austin's.
Oh, that's also true, yeah.
That was a lie. Like Maury Povich right now, holding a card saying, "We are looking at the evidence, and clearly you are not telling the truth."
We didn't shepherd them properly, and we knew that the internal reviews are going to come back middling, but we decided to take the chance of releasing it anyway. Just kept saying it was Xbox's fault, not Bethesda. And remember that they said they were going to stick with Redfall, they were going to fix it. We believe in Arcane Austin. That was a lie.
Yeah. I mean, the people that bought the DLC, like, with the collector's edition or just whatever, they say they'll refund them, but I mean, that's a part of a game that's never going to be seen now.
Yeah.
What a mess.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
So Arcane, man. Remember how excited we were when they, or I know you weren't, Zach. But I was like, oh, what's going to happen now with Arcane? Because didn't they also do like the Prey remake?
Yeah, Prey. Mm-hmm.
Which people really like that game. So like, the only way you're going to survive is if every game that you release is just an absolute banger. And even if it is a banger, you're still on the chopping block.
Doesn't matter, right? Tango Gameworks has done nothing but release well-reviewed games.
Like, what do you got to do? Like, what? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Why that studio is shuttered?
That one in particular, and especially remember Shinji Mikami was talking about that a few years ago, where he stayed longer than he wanted to at Tango because he wanted to make sure that young people got a chance to make games. Like that's why Hi-Fi Rush got made, is because he helped shepherd it,
right?
When otherwise it might not have gotten made. And then he leaves, and then like 2 months later, they're like, "Yeah, let's just get rid of the studio."
Maybe he knew something.
I don't know. Based on his responses online, I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's always heartbreaking, but especially, this news, and I really feel for Tango and all the other studios too, but Tango in particular really kind of hit harder for me, because I love the Evil Within games. I did not finish 2, I have to admit that, but I do want to play Hi-Fi Rush, but now I'm like, do I play it now though? Because of Microsoft doing this.
Right.
Well, you're not throwing any money at Microsoft if you play it on Game Pass,
yeah.
Right?
Well, other than being on Game Pass.
Is it still on Game Pass?
No, so I'm saying if you are subscribed to Game Pass, you are giving money to Xbox. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, which they said it would remain on Game Pass along with Redfall. But it's just,
well, of course, because they want to sell Game Pass subscriptions. Why would they not take this awesome game that won awards and everyone raved about on that thing that's going to sell them more?
Yeah.
I mean,
it just feels dirty for them to make money off of a game that they've now shuttered the studios for.
Yeah, at least like let them have it.
Yeah,
they go sell it on their own. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's like a pipe dream and never going to happen in the corporate world, but at what point is it just the right thing to do?
The pretty interesting point. Yeah, why is Toys for Bob allowed to kind of buy their way out of Microsoft, but not a company like Tango? I wonder what the difference is.
I mean, it just happened, so maybe they didn't know.
Yeah,
this is all like a shock to them. This is all brand new news.
So you're saying maybe Toys for Bob was looking for a way out, and Tango wasn't?
Maybe
possibly.
We'll have to wait for Jason Schreier to write the book and tell us how this all went down.
Yeah, no doubt.
But this is just unfortunate.
So, as a guy who plays primarily on Xbox, Scott, do you believe in the Xbox vision still, or do you think they're just gonna? Because it seems like they're just going to be a third party publisher at this point. they'll just happen to have their own box as well.
Well, that's the thing is I don't really know what the vision is anymore because they've promised so many different things and gone in so many different directions. So you're asking me if I believe in something that the message is no longer clear.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I can't really answer that. Am I going to stop playing on my Xbox? No, I paid for the console and it's my preferred place to play.
Of course,
but I mean, I also didn't stop playing on PlayStation when they started messing up, and maybe that makes me part of the problem, that I'm not going to stand up and speak with my wallet, as it were. I think that's just a gamer mentality in general. Is like we don't, we're big talkers right now.
Right.
I'm a big talker, but at the end of the day, I'm still not gonna. So I don't know how to answer that. You?
Well, no, that's a good point. What is the vision? I have no idea. Because Phil said what a few months ago. Remember, they're like, these are the only 4 games coming to PlayStation right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and now they're all selling incredibly well on PlayStation. So I was like, well, that's a guarantee that other ones are going over there. My thing is, once I see Halo or Gears kind of have a collection on PlayStation, then that to me is a signal of Xbox is dead. Because then that means that they no longer care about their brand image at all. Right? Because those are the 2 biggest properties. Or Fable. Or if Fable comes over, I probably would have a similar reaction. Like those games to me, because I'm sure that, a Halo Master Chief Collection on the PlayStation, right? Was that like a guaranteed 5-10 million copies probably?
Right.
How many people would buy it just because they're like of the novelty of holy crap, I'm playing Halo on a PlayStation?
Or spite. Like there are Sony fanboys that would be like, we're going to show them how well this would have happened if you had started this over on PlayStation.
I bet that's a decent chunk of Sea of Thieves success as well.
Right.
But that's like a guaranteed moneymaker. And I'm sure at Microsoft, the overall company, they see that and they're like, easy money, guys. We'd say, we probably sell, let's just say 5 million copies. That's $60 a pop or whatever. That's easy, free money, basically. Mm-hmm. But if you work at Xbox, if you're Phil Spencer, you have to be smart enough to know, like, that's the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be anybody with Xbox brand loyalty after that.
I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite because I thought it was great that the MLB The Show was on Xbox with a with the Sony logo when you boot up the game on Xbox.
I think it is good. More people can play more games. I'm just saying that, like, that's a far cry from putting God of War on Xbox.
Yeah.
And those kind of moves weakened. Because you think of PlayStation, the brand, you think of those games, and if you could just get them on Xbox, you're going to think of that less.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also sports, man, and sports games sell so.
No, I think that's smart. I think even like putting a Forza game on PlayStation would be smart.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's just smart to. There's a whole Gran Turismo audience that you could probably cough up, but I'm saying, like, just in the public eye, Halo is Xbox, Gears of War is Xbox. Mm-hmm. So if those things are on PlayStation, then you're like, okay, so there's just a publisher then.
And
then they're going to be Microsoft Gaming in 4 years.
Microsoft Gaming, like it's its own subsidiary branch,
right?
Here's the thing: is like I don't know how I feel about Phil Spencer. If you remember back when the Redfall stuff went down, or even when they were having that town hall meeting video podcast, when everyone was
the weirdly rehearsed one,
yeah. But specifically the interview during the Redfall stuff, when I think he was on Kind of Funny Games.
He was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he sounded annoyed as hell, if you remember. Like, he sounded like just body language, or not, obviously I didn't see him, but you could almost hear in his voice that he was saying one thing, but really wanted to say something else. Like, if I was reading the room, I got the impression that a decision was made that wasn't his, and he had no control over it, and he lost the fight, and he's doing, cleanup for somebody else's call, and he was annoyed as crap by that.
I get the vibe Phil Spencer does not want those. I don't think he wanted those games to be multi-platform either.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's spent so much of his life trying to rebuild Xbox, and they were on the cusp of doing it. And then Microsoft, no doubt because of the Activision acquisition, was like, we spent how much money? We got to make that back.
Right. That's why I'm not ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater yet when it comes to Phil Spencer, because I know he's in charge, but I also know that he still reports to somebody that just spent $68 billion.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how much of that is Phil Spencer and how much of that is rolling downhill? So I know that lots of articles and stuff are lambasting him and trying to hold his feet to the fire. There's still part of me that thinks this is not all Phil.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look, man, I'm trying to blame Matt Booty. He's in charge of he's the direct overseer of the studios.
Yeah.
I think his promotion puts Sarah Bond more in that position. And I don't know if you saw her interview where somebody actually asked her about Tango Gameworks.
No, I actually saw your tweet and I didn't. It was like the last tweet I saw before I lost signal. And I never got to go back and watch it. You know how Twitter does that thing when you finally do get a signal, it just automatically goes to your most recent one or whatever?
Very, very frustrating.
So annoying.
Yes,
like, why does it even let me do that? Like, I open up Twitter and there's a tweet there. I'm halfway through reading and all of a sudden it shifts up. Let me decide, Twitter. Notice I'm not calling it by its letter.
No.
So what was in the video? Because I didn't get a chance to watch it because I couldn't re-find it.
It's hard to even put into words what she said because she said nothing. Because the interviewer, much respect, she was just like, so if a studio like Tango Gameworks creates a successful and award-winning product like Hi-Fi Rush, why does that studio close down? And then she gave this weird roundabout answer that somehow ended with her saying, focusing on making the best games. The opportunity
one of
to
their
make the best games. Exactly. You have to watch it because it's unbelievable to hear somebody talk for almost 60 full seconds and say nothing.
Like a politician answering at a podium.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they say so many words and they mean nothing.
It's truly remarkable to watch.
She just got promoted too, didn't she? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Anyway, can we shift gears a little bit, maybe, because like it's all doom and gloom, but
now with all that garbage out of the way, let's reminisce about some of our fallen favorite studios.
So we're gonna go from sad to sadder.
I disagree. No, this is a moment to celebrate some the history of these studios.
Okay,
we don't have to focus on the fact that they're gone.
All right.
I know the video game industry is no stranger to closures, but I want to know what some of your favorite departed souls are. Some studios you miss and what games you're hoping to see from them that you're no longer going to see. I don't think that's
okay.
You could view it as negative, but this is a celebration.
We are a positive podcast here, Zach. So we're gonna.
So I'm trying to focus on the good that these studios did. The ones that were taken too soon. Is remembering your dead relative inherently sad? No, you remember the funny stories along the way.
Yeah.
Alyssa, are there any studios that you miss in particular?
There's one, and I know it's on all of our lists, but that's Visceral Games. Because didn't they, first off, I did not research this ahead of time, I should have. Did they develop both of the Blood Rain games, the first two?
No, that's Terminal Reality.
Terminal Reality? I thought that was, what did they make? There was something on PS2. Yeah.
They made the Simpsons games. They made the the first Godfather game, I think. I don't know what else.
I thought they were involved with Blood Rain in some way, but
I think they used to be EA Redwood Shores.
Yeah.
That's
we'll just scratch the Blood Rain thing. But anyway, I love Dead Space. Dead Space 3, was it disappointing in some regards, especially following 2? Yeah, that I wanted to see a 4, but then, shut down. Like,
and
they
then rebooted the franchise?
Yeah.
Right. Well, they didn't reboot it. They just remade the first one, right?
Well, yeah.
But yeah, they did do it atop their Cold Corpse.
It was that was just sad to me because I really did love that franchise and I wanted to see another game to see if they could rectify, from Dead Space 3 and then make Dead Space 4 better. But that never came to fruition.
And I feel like there's still more story to be told.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the third game ends as such.
Is that the one where there's you hear the satellite or the communication? Or is that how 2 ends?
I think you're thinking.
Trying to remember now.
I think you might be thinking of 2. 3 ends after, if you play the epilogue DLC, fast forward a minute if you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like things are headed to Earth. Basically,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because like there was, at one point they realized there was more than one marker, right? Like
right. I think that was Dead Space 2. I
that
think
was
that's
Dead
what you're
Space
talking
2.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the Dead Space 3, you learn that the markers, like the moons, are alive or whatever. You have a boss fight against the moon.
I hated that boss fight, by the way. That was so stupid.
It was pretty stupid, man.
Yeah, but I still think we should replay through that game together. But
Dead Space 3, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Add it to the list.
Yeah.
I gotta switch my schedule so we can play Dead Space 3 co-op.
Just get a new job just so you can play games with me, man.
It's not the worst reason in the world. What about you, Scott? You have any other studios in mind?
I had a few. Visceral was the easy one, but I feel like I might get some flack for this one, but I kind of miss Lionhead a little bit. I really like the Fable games, and I
Lionhead, if you remember in the Xbox documentary they did a few years ago, remember they talked about shuttering that studio and how that was one of the worst decisions they've made, but they're learning from that lesson about shutting down studios too soon.
Oh no!
But there is something fun about watching Peter Molyneux just promise the world, and and watching him speak and going, I don't believe a word of this, but I love your enthusiasm, man. Like, didn't he like branch off and try a studio called like 22 Cans?
Oh yeah,
and then he did that mobile game
where you dug into the cube, right?
Yeah, like whoever the first person gets the middle.
Yeah, whoever got to the center would win so much.
Well, I think he specifically said it would change their life.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be like some shares in the company.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
It was just shares. But
which is a classic Peter Molyneux line. Or like Project Milo, where he had like that VR kid you talked to, and he was like, yeah, basically it's just this straight up kid that's alive, man. And you're like...
And we all believe... I mean, I kind of believed it.
I had learned not to believe him, but I always wanted to believe him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just like Mulder, I want to believe.
So part of that is like, I mean, I love Fable 2. Fable 2, I think I've said before, first game I got all the achievements on. Like 100%.
Yeah.
So that game holds a special place in my heart. And Fable 1, I mean, he promised more than that game actually did, right? I mean, but at the time, some of the stuff that game did was revolutionary. Like, you know, your character's body stuff carries over, like scars and...
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Even the way you could be fat or muscular, and you get married and have kids and stuff. Yeah, that was a pretty insane concept game for that, especially for that time.
And you could also cheat on your spouse. I remember that.
Oh yeah, of course. You could have a family in every town.
There was a fart button.
There was a fart button.
Essential. It is British, Scott. Of course, there's a fart button.
So I kind of miss Peter Molyneux and Lionhead a little bit. Acclaim is on my list. Can we I know that they're remaking that. I can't remember which studio it is that's doing the remasters of Turok. Turok 3, I think, is out.
Night Dive.
Thank you. And didn't they do Burnout? Was that Acclaim?
They published it, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, I would love just to have like an old school Turok game. Not like, I know the remakes were pretty decent or whatever. There was a 360 one where not a remake, but like they tried to reboot the franchise.
Right, where they Nolaned it. They try to make it very serious.
Yeah, like don't just make a corridor shooter with current graphics, and just make it slick, make it fast, make it fun.
I do like that 360 game. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
You can stab a velociraptor in the head with a knife.
Dude, that was cool. That was the first video game that made me fall in love with video game bow and arrows.
Yes, yeah, it was great. That was a great bow and arrow.
Like, I used to conserve and hoard arrows in that game. Like, that was that was like my main, if you could call it that, in that series. Like, I would just run around with a bow and arrow and try to use that until I ran out of arrows, and then I'd switch to like the pistol or something, because I was playing that game like a survival game. Loved it. Good
voice cast. Timothy Olyphant in that game, of course.
In 3?
In the reboot, the 360 one.
Oh, I did not know that.
I've mentioned it on here a couple times.
Yeah.
Because he plays a character named Cowboy.
Oh,
which couldn't be more on the nose for Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
I also put down Midway, but not for any specific like game. Just like Midway to me is like my childhood. Like
Sure.
I feel like the 90s were just defined by Midway games.
Actually, you really miss Dr. Muto
Sure. Yeah.
and Narc.
And then my last one was Neversoft, mostly because of Guitar Hero. Like I
oh,
still
yeah, that's a good one.
I still hold fast that I think Guitar Hero was better than Rock Band. Don't get me wrong.
I do too.
I like, doing the full band thing, but sitting down with that guitar and just doing me was so much fun. And
yeah, I preferred Guitar Hero over Rock Band as well.
Yeah. So that's
Neversoft was the first game on my list.
Oh, was it?
Or first studio on my list, because Tony Hawk Pro Skater is so good. They made some of the best Spider-Man games to this day.
Mm-hmm.
They made Gun.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yes. I mean, Neversoft that was a special studio.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Hawk's Underground is so good. Oh, obviously they're all very good, but Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and Tony Hawk's Underground especially are just brilliant. And they did some excellent Guitar Hero work as well. Guitar Hero 3. So I think it's when they took over. Yeah. So Neversoft, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Also wrote down Pandemic Studios, developers of the Saboteur, Star Wars Battlefront, Destroy All Humans. Mercenaries. They just had such a creativity to them, where a lot of their games felt different. Even if they did make a lot of open world games like Destroy All Humans, Mercenaries, Saboteur, they all were going after a different thing. They were all doing different stuff,
and they all felt unique amongst themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Destroy All Humans and Saboteur, vastly different games.
right. Yeah, there was just an energy at that studio that we haven't really seen since.
And again, we talk about studios taking chances. Those are two pretty big chances right there. Those two games that we talked about.
They kind of have a Double Fine energy where they didn't seem to repeat too many ideas.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of Double Fine, I'm worried as hell for them now.
Oh, now I am too that you brought it up.
That seems like an easy chop, right?
I mean, what are they doing? I
don't know.
The last thing was Psychonauts 2.
Right.
They haven't said anything since.
I'm sure they'll release an award-winning game that sells gangbusters, and then they'll get shut down.
That's the thing is, we're gonna be like when someone gets an award, we're like, oh, kids are getting axed next,
right? Dude, like Ninja Theory, right? Hellblade 2 comes out, Game of the Year. Anyway, we've got to shut them down, guys.
If you're Ninja Theory right now, how much are you
sweating
bricks
bullets, right? Especially when they're not marketing your game.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels a little like I would be nervous as hell.
I mean, I would imagine any of the smaller studios there would be nervous right now.
Yeah, but Hellblade
small,
has,
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not even smaller, like anything besides the big companies right now.
I just really feel like that is a studio with the most potential to be Microsoft's Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like they're going to get shut down.
Yep.
Nobody is safe.
I mean, who is at this point?
Right.
Bethesda. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
Thank God they have Elder Scrolls 6 started. Who knows?
Well,
Machine Games, that Indiana Jones game better do it up, man.
Again, that puts so much pressure on that game, right? I mean, it's got the license, and it looks great. It looks like a fun game, but it looks like a Machine Games game. You know what I mean? Like, I love the Wolfenstein games. Don't get me wrong, but they're fun in a novelty sense. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would call them great games. They're well-made games, but they're not ones that have super lasting impressions, like narratively.
Speak for your damn self.
Oh, really?
The Wolfenstein games, dude, those games have incredible characters and story and world. And
the second one in particular.
Yeah, but the first one has one of the most realistic love stories I've seen in a video game, period.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a great love story.
Shut your mouth, okay? Those Wolfenstein games are incredible.
I played them mostly for the achievement, so I'm a little jaded, probably.
The second game has Old Man Hitler.
That's also true.
Just walk around on a cave. Are you kidding me? That game's great. Cool. Or that scene with BJ's dad alone when he goes home and kills it. Yeah, good stuff.
The one that sticks out to me is BJ losing a part of himself.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely an iconic moment.
Oh my goodness!
I love that his wife didn't seem to mind.
It's true love.
If you've not played Wolfenstein 2, at least go watch a YouTube video and just see how crazy that game goes. Oh my goodness.
Wolfenstein 2 has a pregnant woman lose her shirt and is covered in blood head to toe, shooting with 2 machine guns in each hand.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not a memorable video game, I don't know what the hell is.
Okay, I walk back my statement from earlier. Take it back.
All right, Cavia is on my list. You guys probably don't care about them. That is that's where Yoko Taro originally worked.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
They made Drakengard and Nier, but they also made just an infinite number of strange games, like a Ghost in the Shell game, or do you remember Bullet Witch on 360?
Yeah, I do.
Where a witch's broom turned into a machine gun. None of their games are what I would call well made, but they were all, you could feel the heart in all of them. And that goes a long way with me. Like Bullet Witch, that's more than some of its parts, for instance. So definitely shout out to them. Team Bondi, I wanted to put on my list because they only made LA Noire and then nothing else.
How is that possible?
And that hurts because LA Noire is incredible.
That's a hell of a first showing, right?
Yeah, unbelievable first showing, and it seems so set up for. I can't wait for the next one.
Right, or even something similar. Like nobody took that idea and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Like,
yeah, why? Where is the spiritual follow up? Even
yeah,
it just seemed like that studio was destined to be one of the big ones, and then they just one and done, dude. That's crazy.
What happened? Like, because that game. I don't know the numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but I feel like everybody was talking about that game.
Yeah.
That game did very well.
Weren't they supposed to develop Agent? Was it Agent?
No, that was a different Rockstar studio. Team Bondi was trying to get funding. Sorry, I'm not trying to
I'm like
information.
No, my memory is just all over the place today. Apparently,
that might have even been the Bully team, and they went on to Max Payne 3, but I might be misremembering. They were going to do a follow up called Whore of the Orient.
Yeah, okay. I knew they were going to do a follow up, and they got canceled.
And I know famously Brendan McNamara would refuse to change the name. He's the director of LA Noire, and they couldn't find a lot of funding for that game. And I have to imagine the title was a big part of that reason.
Yeah, I could see that
because there's 2 offensive words in the title. It's just, one that could easily be interpreted as a racial slur. Unbelievable, but couldn't show up the funding. The premise sounded really cool. Kind of a trading vessel it's like 50 Shanghai or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, so that kind of fell apart. So maybe he's just difficult to work with, even.
I mean, if you're not willing to change the name, I mean, if that's the reason why that studio doesn't exist, because you're that stubborn and couldn't change the name.
Surely there has to be more to it. I just remember that sticking in my head because I was like, just change the name, dude.
Yeah.
I understand you're probably maybe you really got emotionally tied to the story, and for some reason you think the title is vital. It's
just want to sit down with the guy and be like, do you really see that name being on the box in a Walmart?
Exactly. Yep. Yes, exactly. You think GameStop is like, can we get your pre-order for that?
Right. Hey, would you? Like to grandma,
no.
Can I interest you in Whore of the Orient?
Unreal.
I'm just imagining grandma coming in and looking for, my grandson wants me to pick up this game. It's called Whore of the Orient.
It sounds great. He really loved LA Noire. And then I got 2 more. Sorry, I got a big list. I just the heart hurts. United Front Games, because they made Sleeping Dogs.
I didn't know they were gone. That was a huge hit, wasn't it?
Right. Adios, Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't actually know if it was a huge hit or not, or just like a moderate hit.
I think it was moderate, but
yeah,
the people that played it loved it.
And their first game was Mod Nation Racers, which is basically Little Big Planet for kart racers.
Mm-hmm.
But then they followed it up with Sleeping Dogs. Incredible game. People love it. Just a ton of fun, excellent undercover cop story. And then they they were kind of relegated to support studio status after that. They were really helping out with that Disney Infinity game, or helping out here or there. Then I remember they finally did kind of get a Sleeping Dogs pseudo sequel greenlit called Triad Wars, but it was going to be an online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And it was
I remember that.
Nobody asked for that.
Which is, I was just going to say, what everybody who played the first one asked for.
The last thing on anybody's mind when you finish Sleeping Dogs was, boy, I really hope they did a multiplayer game where you play as a criminal this time, too.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating. And then finally, LucasArts, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one. We lost, and with them went Star Wars 1313.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a lot of memories of playing LucasArts games on PC back in the day.
Yes, exactly. What are they? Is it Lucasfilm Games now? Is that what the new version is called?
I think so.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue as well as LucasArts.
No. Remember how they would always do that, clever ways to do the LucasArts logo?
Yes,
in the boot up of those games. The character would take that arc thing over him and pull it out, and it would be a lightsaber, and he's dodging bolts and stuff or whatever. It was so much fun.
Exactly, and it wasn't just Star Wars and Indiana Jones, right? They actually Monkey Island, right? That was a LucasArts game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a ton of interesting creativity over there, and just all went away because the big mouse bought the Star Wars house.
Which again, people like me cheered for.
Did you really?
I mean, probably it sounds like me.
Yeah, well, maybe you're angry at the prequels.
I didn't hate the prequels when they released. You know what I mean? I didn't love them, but they still felt like their own thing. And I actually watched them recently. There's still something nostalgic about them, and I don't feel like the Star Wars universe has been ruined for me because of the prequel or the latest trilogy.
Right.
You
probably shouldn't wrap up your personality in corporate owned properties anyway.
Well, yeah, probably not.
But I mean, I was somewhat hopeful when they first bought him. Because I was like, George wouldn't sell it to just anybody,
right?
And then a few months later, they're like, hey, everything that you've ever read doesn't count anymore. And I was like, oh, well, this sucks.
Could you imagine? I mean, I guess he's counting as billions. It's fine.
Well,
but
if you've listened to any interviews with him, it seems pretty obvious he's regretful of that choice.
Yeah.
I mean, he straight up said, I didn't know I was selling them to the slave owners of Disney.
Wow. That's a statement.
He's got some pretty harsh language.
That's a statement. I don't know, man. Listening to your list makes me feel really guilty. So many of the studios that you talk about and games that I never finished or never bought, never played.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, I'm part of the problem why some of these studios didn't
Thanks,
make
guys.
It. Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding.
But I mean, others I did.
You can't play everything.
Can't play everything.
Okay.
I can try.
Nope.
I'm not going to buy it, all of it, and then just someday I'll get to it. No, you won't. No.
I did have 2 joke answers, though.
Okay.
Treyarch and High Moon Studios, because they're both still around, but they're just in the Call of Duty minds now.
Yeah.
But Treyarch used to make, amazing Spider-Man games. High Moon Studios made those, that excellent game, or that really fun game, Dark Watch.
I didn't play that one.
I didn't play it, but...
And then they made those Transformers games that were way better than they had any right to be. And then and they made that Deadpool game that people love. And
the
now
Cybertron? Is it the
the Cybertron games?
Yep. Yeah.
And now they're both just in the Call of Duty minds.
And Deadpool actually did the character correct, didn't they?
Depends on the Deadpool fan you ask, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's close to the modern interpretation, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't put seal his mouth shut.
No.
No, it's just
it's very much more in the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool vein.
Yeah, he would often be more of a pain character back in the day, but now he is just straight up goofball all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think the movies do a good job of. It seems like he's hiding the pain of his cancer-stricken body with humor.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That game really didn't seem to care about that. That's all I'm saying.
No, not at all.
I played that game and I didn't even know that was part of the character. I had no idea.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you that.
Until the movie, I was like, oh. Which, by the way, those movies are still great. I recently rewatched them.
Loved them.
Yeah. I mean, I love that they couldn't afford a final shootout, so they just said he left all of his guns in the taxi. I don't know. I thought that's funny as hell to me.
All right, so let's go ahead and see what the community said. That's what we thought. We're going to kick things off over on Facebook. Sean Coates said, I got 2 examples, both done dirty by EA. First is Maxis. They shuttered after the disastrous launch of the last SimCity title. And the reason the launch was a disaster was due to policies and mechanics insisted upon by EA, like an always online persistent internet connection for DRM purposes. This along with the forced multiplayer mode, and they didn't have the server infrastructure to handle the demand. It's BS that the Maxis team was punished for the negative reception of things they were forced to do. That's a really good example. Man, what a disaster that story was.
Well, I'm sure Andrew Wilson got a bonus out of it.
Yeah, that's how it works. The second is Visceral. Just when we started getting first glances at Project Ragtag, EA did what EA does and shut them down. I wept for the future of Star Wars under EA's control. Luckily, they managed to turn a corner with Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons, and Jedi Survivor. Still hurts being deprived of what could have been.
Could you imagine you're in charge and you see a brand new Star Wars game from the developers of Dead Space, written and directed by the woman who made Uncharted, and your thought is, well, there's no hope there.
And it sounds like the most amazing game ever.
I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, right?
That's
crazy.
What's this new one that's coming out?
Outlaws?
Outlaws?
Yeah.
Is there any of that DNA from that game in Outlaws?
I mean, it seems like they're both dealing with you playing as a criminal and kind of dealing with that underworld.
Yeah.
But the Ragtag game is supposed to be like a Star Wars heist game.
Like a multiplayer?
No, it was strictly single player, but you would the premise of the game was pulling off a series of heists throughout the galaxy.
Oh.
That sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome.
And like a story we haven't seen in Star Wars, really.
I remember when that happened too. I just didn't understand. Like, all because Dead Space 3 didn't do as well. It 2. That was the only reason, right?
Well, after Dead Space 3 didn't do well, they had to help they made a Battlefield game, remember? Hardline?
Mm.
The Cops and Robbers one?
Which everybody wanted.
Out of a Battlefield game?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Amy Hennig joined and they were going to do that Star Wars game. And you're like, oh, finally, Visceral's back, baby.
Like, did they know who they were dealing with? Like, come on.
I don't understand. I just don't understand. Everything on paper is like, that's a guaranteed hit.
I know.
Anyway, want to move on to Discord. Zach.
Sure. Mark Zemansky writes in, I maintain that our recent months of layoffs and closures is nothing more than a regression back towards the mean. The explosion of technology companies and headcounts in 2020 had to be reduced to save money and to remove redundant positions. There will still be great games in the future. That being said, I looked at the list of studios and found that I didn't play the games that these studios were created. Having watched friends get told to find another job due to reductions in tech, I am still sad for these humans and their families. I hope they find new employment soon.
Again, the executives are the ones that made the decisions to stack up all these employees, right?
Right. And Tim Paulin, real quick, he seconded what Mark said. He said, well said, Mark. Couldn't agree more. Execs overreacted and overhired talent. It was bound to crash. No, you're right. I mean, that's, if what Mark is saying is right, that these companies have to reduce their headcount, you need to explain it to me then, because how can you have record-setting profits if that's the case?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And B, if true, the executives need to get fired along with the people.
Right. Not just the people.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. Melissa, I'm sorry there's no comments for you.
That's okay.
So low reaction to the topic this week, but that's okay. We had plenty of things to say. Next week, we still don't have a topic lined up for next week, but stay tuned to the Twitter, to Facebook, to Discord, and we will post the question there for you. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. As always, the episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com. And yes, he will be at R2V2 2024. Very excited about that. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, as always, thanks for letting me join the podcast today. It was great talking with you.
Yes, of course. It was my honor to let you join my podcast.
Yes. Any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Yes. If you remember, a couple months ago, I talked about the show Sugar on Apple TV, a noir show starring Colin Farrell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It has one of the ballsiest episode twists I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Have you heard about it?
I've not.
Oh, okay. They do hint at it, so it's not like it comes out of nowhere. But the whole time I was like, surely they're not. I must be reading these clues wrong. But then they commit to it at the end of episode 6.
Yeah.
And it is shockingly out there.
Like the first season?
Yeah. This is the first season. Mm-hmm.
And this is Apple?
Right.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to resubscribe to Apple, aren't I?
They're only half-hour episodes.
Oh, nice.
Half-hour, 30 to 40-minute episodes. So it's very watchable. But the first part of the show is very much just like classic noir.
Okay.
So you have to be into that. But with a modern stylizations. So
Sure.
if you don't like slow pace, it's not a pace like those movies. But yeah, it's just a weird twist. I wish I could I don't have anyone to talk to about, but it is definitely out there.
Okay.
So if you want to see something weird,
I think I'm going to have to give up Netflix again and just go to Apple instead.
Apple they got a pretty good batting average over there.
I mean, there's shows that I don't rewatch shows often that aren't sitcoms.
Mhm.
But I've watched that's Ted Lasso's on Apple, right? I've watched that one at
Yep.
least
Yep.
2 or 3 times. Severance, I've watched
Yeah,
twice.
you love Severance, yeah.
I don't know. I had that track record with HBO for a while where like I was every series I watched I absolutely loved. It's not a perfect. I'm not batting 1,000 in that regards now, but I'm.
Mhm.
What's the one with the shrinking?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Shrinking.
that show's so good.
That show was so great. So yeah, I may have to re-up that one, especially hearing you talk about this one and just.
Well, if you want to share my login info and help me pay for the yearly price,
Oh.
I will gladly, if Zach doesn't mind.
What would I? Oh, because
The
we
only
don't have
thing
to be
is
on the same
there's-
watch list or whatever.
Yeah, we have the same watch list, so you gotta be. But I'd be happy
Aw.
because they increase the price
We'll
yearly.
we'll
so
talk later.
okay,
Oh yeah. We'll take this off, Mike.
We'll talk later. All right,
Yeah.
Alyssa, how about you? Got any recommendations for us?
of course I have a K-drama recommendation. If there
Good.
is a noise, it'd be played right now.
Yeah, we do need a little bumper music. We'll have to talk to Grant about that.
That'd be
in
awesome.
October.
For Alyssa's K-drama
Yes.
corner,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
and it's spelled with corner is spelled with a K.
Well, obviously,
Yeah,
Yes.
goes without saying, Scott.
yeah.
But I watched a series called Startup, which it's been on Netflix for a bit. I think it came out in 2020, but I just now watched it. I really enjoyed it. It, like its title, it's about a startup company that is trying to grow, and they have really ambitious ideas, and it is in South Korea. It's a K-drama. But this company is in the tech industry, so that was another bonus to me, just seeing how this group, they're very talented, and they're trying to implement all these ideas, but obstacles come in their way, and it's so easy to root for the underdogs in this show, which is this team. You see evil corporations, and you very much hate them. There is a love triangle, which I was spoiled about it before I even watched the series because TikTok spoiled it, but I mean, it's obvious who she chooses if you watch it, and I have never suffered second male lead syndrome worse than in this show for some reason. It usually does not bother me, but I knew who she was going to pick. But the other guy, I'm like, no. I loved him so much.
So that hurts. It hurts to hear.
And I
That
saw
poor
him
guy.
cry, and when he cried, I cried.
Did you wanted to reach into the TV
Yeah.
and hold him?
Okay, it's a little bit of a spoiler, so if you want to watch Startup, skip ahead 30 maybe not even 30 seconds. But I'm just gonna say, if your grandma calls a guy good boy, and that's what she refers to him as, and she has known him for 15 years, and that's all she calls him is good boy, you pick good boy, okay?
Oh yeah. I don't know,
I'm
man.
like-
Chicks love the bad boys.
Well, the guy she picked isn't even a bad boy.
No. Boo.
So he was
He's a
also
nerd,
a good boy.
which is also they're both nerds. But I'm like, good boy. Good boy had my heart.
Poor good boy.
I know.
Pour one out for the good boy.
But he does redeem himself in another series where he is not the second male lead, but if I say that, that gives away who it is.
Mm.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially the tech aspects, and it just makes you feel like you can do anything. Like, it's very inspiring. Most people would not cry at this show, but I cried with second male lead just because I was attached to his character. But yeah, recommend it. It's got some comedy elements. It's very easy to root for the underdogs. Very inspiring. It flies by. It's really entertaining.
Very cool. I got a recommendation of an old TV show, and I am recommending it only because this is the first time I've seen it stream anywhere. It's available on Amazon now. If you have not seen the rebooted version of Battlestar Galactica, highly recommend that show. Have you ever seen that, Zach?
No. I mean, I'm aware of its reputation, of course.
It's on Amazon Prime now. So if you got Amazon Prime, give it a shot. There are 2 moments in that series that I stared at the screen with my jaw on the floor. Probably because I just I didn't see it coming. But they do something, I know you're not a music guy, but they do something with music that just like hinted at what was about to happen, and then it happened before I could even think that it wasn't going to happen. Oh, man. Very intriguing writing and storyline. I will say the first couple episodes are... It takes like 2 episodes for it to really get going, because they kind of do some characterization stuff at the beginning. But once it goes, man, that show is great. Highly, highly recommend it. I know it's old. Some of you have seen it. I'm not talking about the old one from the 70s, to be clear.
Nobody is ever referring to that one, right?
I hope so.
Ever?
Well, the fun thing is that like the guy that plays Katie Sackhoff's character in the original show is also in the show, which is fun.
Starbuck.
Yeah, Starbuck. So it's great. The technology is a lot better. The story is really interesting. Some awesome characters. So yeah, Amazon Prime.
Did you somehow finally remind me of the song I was singing at the end of Grand Theft Auto 5? It was I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You, the Alan Parsons Project.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, so there it is.
There it is. Bring
So
it
if you
full
hung
circle.
on, now you finally get to know what I was talking about.
Well, Alyssa, it's also been a pleasure. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you were able to record with us today. It's been fun, guys. I'm glad even as tired as I am, I'm glad I was able to do this. So thanks so much to both of you. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.